Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. As well, friends and family, we chose this one. This episode 225, Furious 7, Lap 10. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi. Welcome to Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi, the first ever Warner Brothers branded indoor theme park, and they also have an attached Warner Brothers hotel.
Well, shout out to Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi. I hope that Universal does not mind that we are plugging another studio, but...
Yeah, but
hey.
Don't they have like a weird kind of overlap at some points, and some properties are shared?
I can't keep track of all these corporate conglomerates.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because when we went to Universal, they had some Warner Brothers things, right? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. Anyway, after the break, we'll be joined by Brian Slumber Party Rodriguez to talk about Furious 7. But, Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last recorded?
Not anything too crazy, but I did, begin, as you know, our Oscar catch-up party, which we usually do. So the Oscar noms came out yesterday on Tuesday, and, I printed out...
Had you seen any of the Best Picture nominees before? Because I don't remember...
Dune. That's it.
Dune.
Yeah. So my sheet's pretty blank this year. I saw a couple of the animated ones, and I see your Mitchells vs. the Machines is in here, so that's cool. Yeah, so I hadn't seen really any of the Best Picture ones besides Dune. So last night we went to go see Licorice Pizza, because as you know, like, we try to see all of them. We try to see as many of them in theaters as we can, and I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I actually really enjoyed it. When we finished, Rachel just said, "Man, that was a movie." I said I really liked it because I could relate to being a teenage shitbag trying to make out with older women. That's pretty much the premise of the movie. So I really enjoyed that part.
It's kind of a polarizing movie because people either love it. Yeah, I loved it. Other people think it doesn't have a point, which is kind of true. People think it's a big step down from Phantom Thread, which is the last movie, which is also kind of true. But like, it's just kind of a hangout movie. Like, I think if you don't expect anything going in, if you just sort of like, hey, let's just like see what's up. Like, I think it's good. I think it's really good. So I think it was in my top 10 for last year. I think so. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did too. I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy that I watched it, and I'll just keep trudging along through them. How about you? What are you up to?
I had a big week.
I know.
First, we recorded the intro on Tuesday last week because on Wednesday I had a concert. I went to see Muna. On Wednesday, I had a concert. I went to see a band called Muna in Asbury Park. Muna had a song that came out last year. I don't know if you know, but Silk Chiffon, which Phoebe Bridgers sang on. So they opened for Phoebe when I saw Phoebe in October, whenever I saw her last year. So they were playing at Asbury Lanes. So it was like a cheap ticket, and I was glad. I always like when I can go see a concert that I don't have to pay like $30 in travel to get into New York City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or drive 90 minutes to get to Philly.
Yep.
It was really fun. It was a lot of fun. The venue, there's like this whole history of the Asbury Lanes. Like, it used to be this really cool like punk rock venue, and then they got bought out, and then they sort of like restored it, but it's all like glossy and whatever. And just, I was never in the old one, but I have a lot of friends who like grew up going there, and they hate the new one. So that's a whole thing. Yeah. But smaller venue, which was cool. So like, no, there's not really a bad, not that there were seats, but there's not a bad seat in the house. You could just sort of, see and hear well from anywhere. So that was really cool. But then the big thing of the week was I went to Las Vegas, my first flight in more than 2 years. And
congrats.
How was that? Thank you. It was fine. It was normal.
Yeah.
I mean, wear a mask, but like I've said before, since the pandemic, I don't think I'm ever going to fly again without a mask because I get sick every time I fly. And so I don't feel sick, which is good. Like not COVID sick, just like cold sick, right?
Yeah. Just because you're in one tube with a bunch of people with a bunch of germs. So that's how it works.
And there were no like mask people who were like going crazy about like, I don't want to wear my mask or whatever. Like, it seemed like a whole plane both ways full of people who were just like, yeah, I'll just wear it, like whatever. But yeah, I went out to Vegas for the NHL All-Star Game because our company does some work with the NHL, and they invited us out there for the All-Star Game and the skills competition. So I went out there, and it was a blast. I was messaging you all weekend, sending some pictures and videos, and it was a lot of fun. I got to see it from the suite, so not to brag, but I was also like, it's so cool to see. Like, I sent you a picture of like the crowd from above because it looks like the NFL games in Europe where it's just like there's no two people in two jerseys next to each other. It's just all 30 30 or 32 teams or whatever just represented. So a lot of fun. I mean, there was crazy stuff like you watched along, I think most of it both times, but like the breakaway, the skills competition, like all that stuff was just crazy.
I was telling you before you go that like I think that the skills competition is the highlight of the All-Star Game weekend. I think it's a lot of fun and you get to see some personality there. Like the All-Star Game is like cool because you get to see players that usually don't play together, and that's the interesting aspect of that. They don't really do anything too crazy, right? Like they're like, I mean, they score a ton because it's the All-Star Game, but it's not like...
Well, the cool thing about the game was, to me, because I knew nothing about, like, I haven't seen it, like, and I know that the NHL All-Star Game always would, like, mix it up. Like, historically, it was, like, East versus West, and North America versus the world, and this versus that, or whatever.
Yeah,
and so
They definitely have some... They've mixed it up a lot, yeah.
So I think what was cool was the round robin where it's the 4 divisions and they face off, like 2 face each other and the winners face off in the finals. And so like the good guys won, Metropolitan, which has both your team, the Penguins, and also my sort of team, like my team, but like I don't really follow hockey that much, with the Devils.
Yes.
And so it was cool to see the good guys win.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the format of that. I was saying to you, like I like that there's like no stoppages really. Like it was just like
no,
let
they're 10 minute
play.
They're 10-minute halves they play, so it's like the game blows by real quick. Like they do all 3 of them in what would take normally like 1 full hockey game, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. Yes. So that was a lot of fun. So shout out to the NHL for inviting us out there. Like they invited my boss out there too, but he couldn't go because it was his birthday. And so I was just like, no, I'll for sure go. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
really
would
cool.
very much like to go. But because I spent like 12 hours on a plane and a bunch of, because I wasn't like out and about in Vegas because like number 1, COVID, but number 2, like I don't really have places to go. Like I have like restaurants. Like I don't really gamble. Like I have restaurants I would want to go to, but like there's food everywhere I went. So like I didn't need to go out and get food. So I was like, I'll just like hang out in my hotel room. Like that's fine. Like I'm here for the game and for the skills competition.
Mm-hmm.
So I just watched a bunch of TV. So quick TV roundup because I'm just gonna blow through it quickly. Finish Station 11.
Okay.
I think it ends really well. It just wasn't an ending that I really loved. The whole show is about acting. Did you see my tweet? Have we talked about this? Like, it's just all about acting. And I'm just
the
like,
show is about acting during COVID because you said it was like a pandemic show.
Well, yeah, it's a post-pandemic show. So it like takes place in year 0 and year 1 and year 20. And so in year 20, like you're just following like this troupe of actors and they're putting on stage productions. And like, it's just all about acting. I'm just like, I don't care. Like I was talking to Wes a little bit about it after I finished it, and I was just like, I think it ends perfectly, and if you like the show, you're going to love the ending, but, like, I didn't love the show, so I didn't really care about the ending.
Okay. Is it a miniseries? Is it done? Like, are they going to...
No, it's supposedly done. It's 10 episodes.
Okay.
It's one and done. Yeah. Other miniseries, Pam and Tommy on Hulu.
Is it good?
So I watched the 4 that are out. There's only 8. It's another miniseries. I would not recommend it. I don't know why it was made, really, but I like
weird.
it, kind of.
Okay.
Like, it's just, if you're curious, watch it. Like, the entire first episode is about Seth Rogen, who plays the guy who stole and then sold the sex tape.
Okay.
And then episodes 2 and 3 are, 2 is, like, all about Pam and Tommy, like, meeting and getting married, and then 3 is kind of a blend, and, like, that's, I'm assuming, what's going to go on. So episode 4 came out today as we're recording, so I'm caught up on that. I would not recommend it, but, like, if you want to watch it, like, I think the performances are good. I don't know. But also, like, I'm not going to think about this after I'm done watching. You know what I mean? It's just like... The weird thing about it, though, I don't think this is, like, gross or anything, but, like, the nudity is, like, not sexual. Like, there's a lot of nudity, and both, like, you know, prosthetic dick, like a huge dick for the guy who plays... So it's Winter Soldier who plays Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
And then Lily James from Baby Driver plays Pam, and they're both naked a lot because, of course, but, like, it's not sexy. And, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be or not, but, like, it's so heavily made up that it's just, like... Okay, like it's not. It's weird. It's like I can't describe it. And like I thought that it'd be like. I thought it'd be like a sexy show, but like it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird way to describe. Not that that's like a turn on or turn off. Like you should watch it or not because of that. But I'm just like
they asexualized
a
a bunch of nudity in a show that should be about sexuality, right?
Right. Because like you know, I think she's a great actress and she's super cute and I like her, but like it doesn't look like her. Like it looks like Pamela Anderson. I'm just like okay, like it's a weird. I don't know. So like even that, I'm just whatever. Okay. I don't know. Then I started watching Murderville on Netflix. Have you heard of Murderville?
I have. It's the Lego Will Arnett and a bunch of people every time.
Yes.
I kind of don't know the premise. I know that it's just a bunch of people every time. Or is it like they're trying to solve a murder, or is it?
So yeah, so it's a 6 episode. I don't know if it's a mini series or just season 1. I don't know if it's going to get renewed or not. It could easily they could do it forever. But he is a detective, and the entire show is like a murder mystery. And each episode, he has a celebrity partner, as like the detective in training, and they don't have the script. Everyone else has the script, and so they have to figure out the murder and also just follow along in the story.
Okay, so it's like, murder mystery dinner theater, but
yes, but everybody else is in on it. It's just the one person trying to figure everything out.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
It's really funny. So there's 6. I've seen 4 of them. It is Conan O'Brien's the first one, and then Marshawn Lynch is the second one.
Was he good?
He was really good. I liked all 4 of them so far. And then the third one was, oh God, who was the third one in Murderville? And the fourth one I just watched was your girl, Alexis Rose.
Ooh.
From Schitt's Creek.
That's right. I remember seeing her picture on it. So, okay. So it's cool. I'm going to give it a watch.
It's cool. I recommend it. And like they're half an hour. They're really easy to blow through.
Yeah.
It's probably bingeable. Oh, 3 was Kumail.
Oh,
right.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and then 4 was the actress' name is Annie Murphy, but Alexis Rose from Schitt's Creek. Like, I don't know that you would want to watch more than one in a row because like it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's
okay, so it gets like redundant really quick if you're watching more than one.
Funny,
in a row. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like I'm watching one at a time, and then just like later in the day or the next day or whatever, doing another one. But like, it's really like I really enjoy it. I recommend it, but I don't know. It just feels like it could go on forever. But I don't know if I would personally want to see more than one. I don't know.
Okay.
I also started last night the show Archive 81, which is a new show on Netflix. It's like a horror thriller suspense thing, which I'm only 1 episode in, but it's promising so far. And I also started Only Murders in the Building. Did you watch that on Hulu?
No.
With Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez,
No.
where they're like, they all live in the same apartment building and they're trying to solve a murder that happens in the building in the pilot. And they create a true crime podcast about it. I've only seen 2 of the episodes so far. So
it's all, what is this? This feels like the superhero wave of TV, right? Like everything's a murder mystery right now.
Everything's a murder mystery. Everything is a podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's easy. I guess it's also like, maybe it's COVID safe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Because like each of these things, like especially like in Murderville, it's just usually like Will Arnett and his partner and like the one person they're interviewing, right? And they all kind of come together at the end. So like you can kind of easily control each set.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like weird and like constructed like that. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, I watched Purple Rain.
Yeah, nice.
Which was good. Have you seen that? Because we picked it for Film Club. We apparently wanted to do it like 5 years ago. We just never did. Have you seen that before or no?
No, I've never seen Purple Rain. I've only seen the Chappelle Show about Purple Rain and heard people reference Purple Rain. It's one of those that I always meant to see because, I'll drown you in the waters of Lake Minnetonka and like all the lines from it are super famous, but I've never seen it. It's good. I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's good because the album is like one of the best albums of all time. You know what I mean? Like it's built around the best album. So it's just like, like you can't really make a terrible movie around it, but like it's a weird, like in the world, people hate Prince. Like people hate Prince's music. They're like, nobody's ready for that stuff. It's just like, okay, like it's, Purple Rain, like finished or, not that song. Cause that's like the finale, but like he plays all these songs. And they're just like, yeah, nobody likes that. It's just like, what in the world? Like it's a weird thing to sort of get your mind around. I don't know, whatever. It's the movie like where the guy makes the Beatles don't exist and he makes all the songs.
Yes, Yesterday,
yeah.
Which I think also Lily James is in that, I think, too. Actually, did you hear about these 2 people are suing the people who made Yesterday for falsely advertising that Ana de Armas is in the trailer? Did you hear about this or no?
No, what?
So Ana de Armas is in the trailer for Yesterday, and she had a whole subplot that was cut out. And so these 2 people rented it on iTunes or whatever for like $4. And they're suing. They're trying to get a class action lawsuit together against the studio or whoever for $5 million for falsely advertising that Ana de Armas was in Yesterday, and they only watched it for her. America loves a lawsuit, man.
They do. Just give them their $5 back and tell them to shut up.
And the only other movie that I watched that I wanted to make note of is one that fan favorite Garrett Smith told me about. There's a movie on HBO Max now called Ricochet, which stars Denzel, which came out in 91. And it's insane. He's a cop that becomes a detective and then the assistant district attorney. And he puts John Lithgow away as a criminal in the beginning of the movie. Okay. And then John Lithgow is out for revenge. And it's pretty insane. Garrett said that one of his friends and his like film friends group found it and they all watched it this past weekend. And they're like, he's like, I can't stop talking about this movie. You should watch this movie. And so I watched it and I really liked it. It's crazy. Like, it's not a good movie because like, it's all like, none of this makes any sense. And like, none of it really, like, if you think about anything, it's just like, oh, this like falls apart immediately. But like in the moment, it's just so crazy that I think you would maybe like it.
Okay.
But there's a podcast that came out like 5 or 6 years ago called Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period, which W. Kamau Bell and Kevin Avery did. And so they did like, it's basically what we did, but they did Denzel, and they talked about this movie, and the way they described it, which I was like, that's actually perfect, is that it's like a Will Smith action movie starring Denzel.
Okay, so it's like kind of corny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's a scene where he's like sprinting down the street in like a pink bathrobe with a pistol, just holding a pistol, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that sounds very Will Smith. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So they called it like also like alternate reality Denzel. Like it's all there, but it just like Denzel Washington, John Lithgow, Ice-T, Kevin Pollak. It's a weird, wild movie, but it's on HBO Max. It's pretty short. It's like an hour 45 or something like that. So if you want like a crazy 90s kind of cop, kind of detective, kind of law, kind of just insane whatever movie, you could do worse than Ricochet.
Yeah, sounds cool.
So shout out to fan favorite Gareth Smith for the recommendation. I thanked him already, but thank you again on air for Ricochet. But that's all I've done, which is too much. Talk too much. Anyway, we have a Patreon page, Too Fast, TooForever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, the aforementioned and upcoming Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party. Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. If you want stickers, handwritten notes, advance access to episodes, a bonus episode we're dropping this past weekend, as you're listening on the main feed, about Friday Night Lights, the film with Brian Rodriguez.
Yes.
Even $1 a month gets you in the door at TooFast2Forever.com. We also have an email address, family@cageclub.me. And Joe, starting things off, new $5 patron, meet the Kings of Sports. So shout out to Nate Milton, who after our last episode, he plugged our Patreon, and so he went on and did that. So I think what we're going to need to do, Joe, is I think we're going to need to repay the favor, which means that Patreon fair. Is just like getting 50 cents from each of us or whatever, but we're going to have to support his Patreon, and we can both reap the benefits of that. But shout out to Nate.
I think we should subscribe to his Patreon for $6.
Oh, let me actually see here. So the Kings of Sports, they have 172 audio, 28 videos. We don't do videos. They've got made possible by viewers like you. They got friends of the program. And they got 2 turntables and a microphone. And they got what you got on my 40, homie. So they got 4 different tiers. So shout out to Nate, Kings of Sport Pod, creating podcasts for the people at patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. So just like Brian, you're going to get free plug every one of our episodes. I'm going to say Nate Mosaic of
That's
Nate
really
Milton,
cool.
Nate Mosaic of the Kings of Sport. So let me reset again. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden, Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, and Jessica. Man, I can't. It's not too long. I can't do it in one breath anymore. And Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so much for supporting the $5 a month level or above. Nate, your handwritten note and stickers are in the mail. By the time you hear this, well, maybe not. You might have it by the time you hear this. I don't know. They're on the way. You'll get them soon. So shout out to Nate for supporting us. Thank you so very
Nate.
much.
He's the man, dude. So I'm
truly appreciate it.
Yeah, he just continues to amaze me.
Then we have a YouTube comment on Machete Kills.
Okay.
Gene Toto says, Alolaba. And I Google translated it, and Alolaba means Alalaba. So I don't know what it actually means, but Google Translate does not either. So Alolaba to you too, sir.
Yes, exactly.
Then we got a bunch of emails. We got 3 emails from Wes. They're all sort of shorties. And so this one, remember last episode, he emailed in about the clock in Japan. And he's
Christmas
like, I think it's a Christmas movie because of XYZ.
Yep.
He then says, I just realized the subject line should have been Tokyo Drift Miss. And I was like, pretty good joke.
I like it.
But then,
that's good.
Between last week and this week, he messages us and says, why didn't you read the second email? I was like, because we didn't get it in time. He's like, I sent it on Wednesday. I'm like, we don't always record on Wednesday. So, Wes, always fucking things up. But thank you for sending this in. It's a good joke. I saw one, because he sent it at 8 o'clock in the morning the day after we recorded. So I woke up and just like, but we already recorded. So like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, we got it now.
Then he sent in another reply to that. He said, the driving montage where the clock is visible is the scene where Sean is being driven from the airport to his dad's house, which is what I thought, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I was just joking saying he arrived on the 11th. I'm sure that was just when they happened to film that B-roll, and they foolishly assumed no one would look that closely and notice the dates don't match up.
Makes sense.
I was thinking you might actually be able to nail it down to October 7th because I thought there were signs up for the beginning of their homecoming game, which would normally be September or October, But I just watched and I don't see anything about Homecoming, so who knows? It could be December. That's pretty much what Arizona looks like in December anyway. Stay furious, Wes.
Yeah, because it kind of feels like they're setting up for, like, Homecoming, right? Like, with them all being in leather jackets outside, and, like, it's like a pep rally, kind of, right?
Yeah, and I feel like, and maybe I'm reading too far into things, but what's the point of a podcast, or this podcast specifically, if I'm not reading too far into things? Like, if Sean messes up in September, I feel like sending him to Arizona is, like, extreme. Like, I know that it's extra, it's literally an extracurricular activity. Japan. What did I say?
Arizona. Sending him to Arizona.
Oh, sending him to Japan, yes. Sending him to Arizona seems fine, because that's where he is. Just go down the street. Yeah. But sending him to Japan, I mean, I know it's an extracurricular activity. It's not exactly a school-related thing, but it feels like this has probably been building for, like, you know, it's like a build-up, and then the summer's kind of like a lull, maybe. You know, I don't know. Like, we're trying to... I feel like September, October, November might make sense. I don't know.
It feels about the halfway point. I agree with you, because you're right. That would be a time where you'd be like, look, like, we're not even putting you in another school here. We'll just send you out of the country. Come back in 6 months type situation.
Yes. Cool. Get some cooling off time. Although I guess he never comes back, right? He just hangs out in Japan. Was
it his senior year, and does he graduate? Like, we don't have any answers to that. Is he still in school in Japan when Dom arrives as
a 30-year-old senior, and there it's like a 37-year-old senior?
Exactly.
Wes also emails in about the line, forget about it, cuh, which is the name of his subject line. He says, what up, fam?
What up, Wes?
Regarding the infamous, I said, forget about a cuh line. I don't remember if I heard this on Tyrese's Entertainment Weekly podcast. By the way, shout out, pour one out for Entertainment Weekly. Today they announced they're no longer doing the print version of Entertainment Weekly. That is sad news for journalism and for people. Like, I know specifically the people that I follow on Twitter, but like everyone, like all the journalists and all the writers and critics and everybody that I follow are in their orbit, like, are all very sad that, because they all grew up on Entertainment Weekly, so.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that we talk to, even specifically us, I'm sure, were very influenced by Entertainment Weekly.
For sure.
In their lives, yeah.
So I think they're still doing the website and everything, but the print version is no more. But he said, I don't know if I heard this in his and Tyrese's Entertainment Weekly podcast or somewhere else, but if I remember correctly, he said either Paul said the line that way once by mistake or someone suggested it, but either way, his reading of that line made Tyrese and John Singleton laugh so much that he made Paul deliver it that way in every take. So he knew exactly how silly it sounded. That's partly why it stayed in Stay Furious, Wes.
Yeah, and that's why it's iconic, right? Because it sounds weird. I mean, even if, like, they were giggling at it, like, it's something that just sounds weird to us, so that's why we remembered it so much.
I don't want to jump ahead. We're going to get to it in a couple minutes, but there's another line that somehow I have never heard before that I made the title of this minute.
Oh, yeah.
That is the craziest, again, like, you know.
Something we didn't catch because it immediately is preceded by, forget about it, cuh.
Yeah, and your brain is just like, he couldn't have said that. Like, it's just like, what? Like, it's sort of like silly American girl likes to play with samurai swords. It's like silly white boy from LA thinks he can speak black, basically. Like, it's just, Brian is trying things in these minutes, and it's not really working.
Now that I know the Entertainment Weekly story, I can definitely see John Singleton and Tyrese being like, oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. Do that again.
Just making fun of him.
Yeah, you know, like an inside joke between those three, to where, like, it's not like Paul Walker was doing anything maliciously. It's that they were laughing at him doing it and made him do it, right?
Yeah. I also saw, like, when I this is neither here nor there, but we obviously love Paul. We love Brian.
Yeah.
I saw a review of Furious 7 on Letterboxd last night that said the best thing that ever happened to the Fast and Furious franchise was Paul Walker dying.
Oh,
and I was like, that's so mean and cruel and not funny and disrespectful all at once.
Oh, God. It's just,
and I'm just like,
dark and weird. Like,
why are you watching these movies if that's how you feel? Why are you writing that on the internet?
I don't know. Like, you have to be, like, 12 and just wanted to make a hot take for no reason on Letterboxd. It's really strange.
Final email from Jerry, subject line 2022, Jerry Robinson. Hello, Jerry.
What up, Jerry? How you doing, buddy?
Says, hey guys, it's been a while since I wrote in, so I might as well do an update. First of all, I'm alive and boosted, LOL, and so is everyone close.
Good.
Ileana's mom had COVID for 2 weeks, but besides a cough, she's fine, and now she's negative, so all good. We're just staying distant.
Awesome. That's good to hear, buddy.
Good to hear she recovered.
Yep.
He says, I'm excited Momoa's in Fast 10, especially since he's now going to be on the market following his divorce. I met him a few years ago at SFO Airport, and he's a Wookiee, as what Lisa Bonet said. Kind and loyal, but don't piss him off.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, by the way, I also speaking of Wookiees, I finished the Book of Boba Fett today. Did you watch? Are you gonna watch? Have you watched Book of Boba Fett?
No, I have not. I may at some point. I am not stressed about it.
There's 2 episodes where Boba Fett is not, and I don't know if this is blasphemous to Star Wars fans because I feel like, we had past guest Brian Silliman who loves Star Wars. He has a Star Wars podcast,
Yes.
and I've seen him tweet. I think about like he loves Boba Fett and he likes the Boba Fett show and he wants Boba Fett on screen. But there were 2 episodes of the season of 7 where Boba Fett was basically not in, and those were easily my favorite of the season.
I think you're not the only person I've heard say that.
I think because this is not my thought. This is just like common. Like people love Boba Fett because he was mysterious. Like he was in 2 scenes, he didn't talk.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my god, who's that guy? And then like, no shade to the actor because he's doing a fine job. It's just like I don't care. Like I mean, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I don't care about this guy and like the story they're giving him. Is just like okay.
Also, we're just doing the fucking Mandalorian, bro.
And the Mandalorian itself is great. Like I think Pedro Pascal is awesome. Grogu obviously adorable. This Boba Fett, I don't know, man.
Like, the Mandalorian was, like, pretty much the Boba Fett story, right? Like, I mean, not specifically Boba Fett, but that clan of people, right?
Yes. Although apparently he's not a Mandalorian, but I don't know. I don't understand. Who knows?
Okay.
I'm not in that whole world. Not that I hate it. I just don't. That's one thing I have not done like a deep dive onto.
You know that there's so much Marvel stuff out, and I don't feel like they just make stuff to make stuff, and I do feel like Star Wars just makes stuff to make stuff.
Well, the thing to me, like in that regard, is that like you have the entire universe. You could tell any story.
Yeah.
And this is what you want to tell? This is it?
They do a lot of fan service, man. It's like whatever people bitch about enough, that's what they do. So
I don't know. I guess I'm as lost as you are.
okay.
Jerry says, moving on to sports, I'm happy and sad about the Niners losing the NFC Championship. A bunch of my people on my Facebook saying Jimmy G has to go or my favorite start Trey Lance. So I'm going to go on a little rant.
Please, I want to hear his thoughts on this actually, because I have lots of thoughts on this.
Have you talked to Wells about it? Because I have not heard from Wells about this.
I've seen Wells's response on Twitter, and Wells is pretty pro Jimmy in the sense that like the Niners fans are doing him dirty. Like he wins,
Okay.
and he took them to 2 NFC championships and in a Super Bowl. So I see him being like, you guys are gonna regret how shitty you've been to Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think. Let's see here. I think Jerry's in that same camp. Let's see. Jimmy played hurt the whole time, so he's extremely limited. The first time playing an extra week. 49ers bye week was week 4, so they played straight from 5 till the playoffs, as well as last year, coming from a 6-10 record to a championship. So to me, that's a win. My goal for the Niners was just to make the playoffs, and they did. With Jimmy trading in a raw Trey Lance, it's going to be a small rebuild for a few years. Okay, sports rant over. So it sounds like, I don't know if, I can't get a sense of like whether he's pro Jimmy or anti Jimmy, but just like Jimmy did better than he thought, so like let's give him the benefit of the doubt, right?
My very, very delusional Niners friend is convinced that they will just trade Jimmy G and get all the picks back that they traded for Trey Lance, and then it's a wash and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
That's what we keep saying. We're like, okay. And like, what do you do? Okay, I'm thinking from my team's perspective to keep going on this, is like, what if Mason Rudolph next year, like we draft Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph takes us to the AFC Championship game? What the fuck do you do?
I don't know, because it depends on if he did it or not. Like, when when Teddy got hurt and Case Keenum, like, led him to the championship, it's just like, well, he did well, but it wasn't because of him.
Yeah, it's like the whole Nick Foles in Philly situation, too. Like, Carson Wentz was killer that year, but Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. So, like, what do you do? I don't know, man. I'm glad that I'm not in that situation. And the Niners gave up all those picks for Trey Lance. And I'm still convinced that Trey Lance isn't the one that they wanted. They wanted Zach Wilson. The Jets fucked them. They took Trey Lance. And they were actually going to take Mac Jones. And then the fan base shamed them into taking Trey Lance. Like, so this was like your 4th pick down the line of who you wanted. And you had traded 3 first-round picks to get up there. I don't understand.
And Mac Jones has been pretty good, too, right?
Mac Jones has been pretty good. It's not what Kyle Shanahan would want for the Niners. He wants like a guy that can scramble and stuff like that. So, but like, yeah, Mac Jones has been pretty. I think he's been the best of the bunch so far, right? Like he's the only one that like played all the games and like had a winning record. He went to the playoffs. So, as a Niners fan, I will be really torn up about this, and I think about it a lot because I, know Jerry, know Wells, have other Niners fan friends, and I'm like, man, I don't know what I would do if that was my team. It would just be weird.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough. Crank 2. Moving on to Crank 2. Such a stupid movie. I loved it, especially with the craziness and that little song that comes up repeatedly, especially Jason whistles it during one scene.
Yeah, we were talking about how
Crank
much
2.
fun that was, yeah.
We put those both out. Yeah, those are both on the main feed. We didn't put that one behind the paywall, so both those out if you've not listened to the Crank episodes, both with fan favorite Garrett Smith, aforementioned Garrett Smith. Individually, Joey, if you played Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Arceus, I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. I've seen it both ways. It's hard, but definitely worth it, especially coming from someone who played every main series Pokemon game except for Sword and Shield. We'll play it soon. I have it. So this is a game, Joe. So do you know, like Zelda games, like the big one, the most recent one is Breath of the Wild. Are you familiar with Breath of the Wild?
I know that it exists.
A lot of people call it the best game that's ever been made. I have not played it yet because it's like a 200-hour game. And I'm just like, I get intimidated by that, even though I'll play Spelunky for 400 hours.
Was it on Switch or was it on Wii?
It's on Switch.
Okay.
Pokemon Legends Arceus is kind of like that, but Pokemon, like it's like a free, like it's just like an open world RPG where like just Pokemon are out and like they can attack you even if you don't have a Pokemon out. Like it's a whole like different thing. It's in like ancient times, so it's just like, and you're creating the first Pokédex apparently. So like you literally have to catch like multiple versions of the same thing, like so you can learn more about them, whatever.
Okay, cool.
I bought it. I have not played it yet because what he mentioned, Sword and Shield, there was expansion packs that I bought that I did not play yet. So I was actually going to, I didn't even know that he wrote this in the email, I was going to start the expansion packs of those tonight. And then like a couple months ago, maybe like October, November, they remastered older versions and I bought that. So I want to do that and then I'm going to do Arceus. So soon, not yet, but again, that like I was literally going to start tonight. So not yet, Jerry, but I will let you know. I know Jerry and I are Switch friends now because we,
cool.
I shared a Switch code. So
very cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, Jerry. I'll get in touch with you as I start playing that. But yeah, for sure.
Nice.
He says, also, have you finished King of the Hill? No, I'm very slow. I'm not going to finish King of the Hill until I think the end of next year. I'm in season 2.
Because you know how he does it. He does like an episode a day or on every other day.
I only have 10 more Seinfelds.
You're getting close to the
down
end,
to 10.
bud.
And of those 10, 4 are the like doubles at the end, where it's like the recap and the finale and the clip show and blah, blah, blah. So really only like 6 standalone episodes, so...
Yeah, because near the end, they definitely did the, like, these are some funny scenes. And you're like, okay,
right.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Joe 2, congrats for Big Ben taking all those beatings for 18 years. He says Jimmy G would be a good fit to the Steelers. And if you've watched the season of Before the 90 Days, it's so good, especially Gino, who doesn't take his hat off with his crazy big boob girlfriend Jasmine that has to FaceTime him wherever he goes.
Oh, one.
Have you watched Before the 90 Days? And also Steelers. Go for
it. I've been watching a ton of sports because, as you know, they've legalized sports gambling here. So, like, I've cut out a lot of reality TV in the sense that I just watch every sport all day on 3 different televisions at all times. So, no, I haven't watched Before the 90 Days. But I think in summer, especially if there's no baseball, this is when I'm going to catch up on all these things. Like, I already mentally prepared that that's what's going to happen, like, in my lull times. I'm very glad Big Ben is gone. A lot of people say Jimmy G would be great for the Steelers. I wouldn't mind it. I don't think it will happen just based on what Tomlin is saying. Rooney went to the Senior Bowl this year, which he never ever does. Like the owner of the Steelers was at the Senior Bowl scouting quarterbacks. He's heavily involved in only that choice of the team. I think they're either going to draft a guy or not draft a guy and go with Mason or Dwayne Haskins, who's still on the roster too, which Wells I'm sure is excited about, and because he was a former Ohio State guy, right? So I think that they're going to go with one of those two or draft a quarterback this year. And if they don't this year, they will next year. I don't think that that's like Jimmy G or any of the big splashy guys are actually going to come there. So
I realized the other night, I don't have anything to really say about the Steelers, but I realized the other night about TV that Rachel was texting me about a show, and she was like asking me between 2 different shows which one she thought you would like more, and we agreed. And I realized that you haven't been talking about trash TV in a while. And because you've been basically, and what you've been watching to sort of unwind has just been the disposable, quick, digestible half-hour comedies like Schitt's Creek and Kim's Convenience.
Yes,
stuff like that. So I'm like,
yes.
In my mind, step up, major step up. If you're just going to watch like sort of brain mush, it's better to have like, in my opinion, I like the trajectory. Like soon enough, you're gonna be like, yes, I'm just going to like down this and watch like The Leftovers to like unwind this evening with my fine wine and prestige TV.
Too much focus, not enough phone time. That's why I like those shows. They're just long, right? And like if I have like 6 college basketball games that I'm gambling on, then I have those to watch instead. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So relatable with your 3 TVs and your 6 basketball games you're betting on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, hey man, you gotta pass the time somehow, and
I get it.
that's how it works.
Continuing with shows, I've started Manifest, which is kind of like an Avengers Endgame without the superheroes. I think Manifest was one that like got canceled, and there was like this huge like fan outcry, and I think they got revived somewhere. So I've not seen. Have you seen Manifest? I have not seen Manifest.
I saw my friends going nuts about it in our fantasy hockey chat. They like really liked it. They all binged it. They all said that they loved it. So that's the only experience that I have with it. They're really, really
Oh right,
happy.
yeah. Last summer, Netflix, because it was a huge hit on Netflix, and so Netflix brought it back for one more season.
Yeah, they were amped on it. So I just saw them saying how great it was, but that was it.
He says it's like Avengers Endgame without the superhero. So I'm not exactly sure what that would look like, but that sounds interesting. So
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. So that's all I got. Got to continue playing Arceus. Be fast, never last, because you'll come in last and lose that ass. No, Monica.
Good
Thank
to
you,
hear
Jerry.
from you, Jerry, man. Glad everything's going well, brother.
Yeah, if you want to write in, email in family@cageclub.me. We'll read it on the next episode, which will be next week. I don't remember. Oh, next week we're starting a bigger thing. So
Oh.
tease them out at the end of the episode. So just stay tuned for that. But Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. Any news you've seen about Fast and Furious? We know that like production is starting soon.
Yes.
Hasn't started yet, but starting soon. But anything else you know about news on the streets?
No, but I saw a funny tweet today. Somebody posted a picture of Carmelo Anthony and John Cena, and Carmelo Anthony retweeted and said, "I only see a picture of myself," and I laughed.
Huh? Cool.
Yeah, that I was just like, wow, like literally everyone's in on the joke, and that makes me happy.
Wes was like, "Did you hear about the live action TV series?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, let me find the news." He's like, "I can't find the news." So apparently, there's maybe rumor or speculation that it'd be like a live action show on Peacock or something.
That's somebody that listened to this podcast, heard us say that was a good idea, and played a game of telephone where somebody was like, they're probably planning a live action TV show for Peacock, when that was just an idea that we said that they should do.
I get the Google alert every day about the Fast and Furious, and like most days, there's nothing, and so like the top news hit is just like nonsense. So I'm like, if somehow there was news about that I didn't see in the Daily Digest and that nobody had sent to us, I was like, where did this happen? And he couldn't find it again. So like, it would not surprise, like either of us or any of us, there would be a live action show. There just isn't news about that yet, right? So
Yeah. And I know we've said it before. Like you and I have talked about it. We're like, why don't they do why aren't these movies on Peacock? Why don't they do a live action show? And why don't they just put it on Peacock? Right? Like that was the whole
Yeah.
three.
Related, Joe, is Dwayne Johnson in F10? Answer still no.
Jason Momoa though, yes.
The final thing to do before we take a break and bring in Brian to talk about Fury 7 is the Fast and the Furious Minute. Too Fast, Too Furious Minute. Minute 48. I teased it before. This immortal Brian O'Connor quote. It's getting thick real quick.
I'm trying to blow our cover, and we got two wild cards that are no better than that damn ankle bracelet of mine. I'ma tell you, bruh, you let your man Markham do that shit again in front of Verone, that's gonna be our ass.
I know, man. I know. It's getting thick real quick, and we may need a way out. We got to come up with some kind of exit strategy.
Exit strategy, huh?
Yeah.
I like the way that sounds. What you got in mind?
I don't know, man. But we need two more cars.
Yeah, here they come.
Fonzie and Fabio. Glad you can join us.
So in this minute, Brian and Roman discuss how they're going to handle Markham and Verone. They quickly realize that what they need first, two new cars.
Yeah.
We cut to a night scene where Brian, Roman, Tej, Suki, and Jimmy are waiting for a race. Fonzie and Fabio show up with two women ready to race as the minute ends. So this is not a huge sort of like a minute in transition. We are not at the nightclub yet. We have this. We were talking about last time whether we were going to go here or the nightclub first. But it's progress. The last couple minutes have been very slow, and there was actually things for both of us to look up, which was nice.
I have a really good question that I just came up with.
A trivia question?
Yeah, I'll save it till the
Okay.
end.
What do you think of this minute? Because we're now in a new scene, a new set piece.
I'm so glad we changed set pieces. I'm sure we're gonna have to deal with 4 minutes of racing, but for how bland the fisheries hideout was, I'm happy to be somewhere else. As I watched the minute, I tried to figure out where this was. It's not written anywhere. If I had to guess, I would assume that it's near where Tej's garage was along that road, right? It kind of seems like the same place. There's a boat in the background, but I couldn't specifically find any signs or anything that tell us where this is. Hopefully, when they're driving, I'll be able to get a better guess of where they actually are. I felt disappointed I couldn't do that.
In my head, I feel like they're just like in an undisclosed neighborhood somewhere. But like I also haven't watched this scene.
It's against
like
water.
the way that we're going to watch the scene, right?
Yeah, it's against water though, right? And Tej's garage was right against water, so I'm assuming production-wise, it has to be like the same place at night down the street, right?
I also do want to say, like we talked about the fisheries being bland, but like for the narrative of the movie, it makes sense that like it's just like some unused location where they're just like whatever, right?
A hideout,
like,
yeah.
For our purpose, let it be a fully furnished restaurant that's just like closed for the day, right? It's just like because there's literally nothing. Like there's no furniture, there's no art, there's nothing in that. So like I'm right with you to get out of there. Very happy.
Feels just refreshing. I agree.
So in this minute, we have Roman. We can see him still eating because remember he eats half of it. He throws the nub of the bread down,
takes
grabs the other half, walks out. We see a big leaf of lettuce, so it could still be a burger, but I think it lends more credence to the sandwich idea. I think we're like confirmed. We still can't really see it fully, but probably sandwich.
Yeah.
Also, the funniest thing that I saw, and it's not really funny, but it's just like for the movie, is that like Fonzie and Fabio like roll over that hill and they both like stop at the top of the hill because like, oh God, look at them. And then like we cut behind them and like they just continue down the hill. But like, why would you stop? Like, what do you? It's just only there for like the camera to like catch them and be like, oh, look at those cars. Like, look at those badass cars. But like, if they were actually going to meet up with Brian and people, they would just like drive to the thing. They wouldn't just stop at the top of the hill. So I just thought it was funny that it's just like, oh.
I agree.
What are those cars, though? Speaking of, you found out info about both cars.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is like our first real dedicated spot to these two cars. And I did some research because I wanted to figure out what the Yenko Camaro actually officially is. Okay. A lot of these car companies will have like a motorsports division. This is how you get like the BMW, like the M series, right? Like that's the BMW Motorsports 3 series. The Yenko Camaro is not this. There was a dude whose name was Don Yenko, okay? He was a race car driver and he owned a bunch of Chevy dealerships. So in 67, the Camaro came out and he ordered a bunch of Camaros. He stripped the engines out of them and put Corvette engines in them and made the Yenko Camaro.
Okay.
And people were like, holy shit, because there was like some kind of rule about how big the engine could come in the Camaro for, I don't know, some like Chevrolet rule, General Motors rule. And he put Corvette engines in them, which are much bigger and faster and more powerful. And so that's how this started. The one that we see here is a 69, and the 69 was really cool because in 60, like they did this in 67, they did this in 68, they replaced them with Camaro engines. In 69, Chevy let them order them with Camaro engines from the factory and some other options like disc brakes. They had like a different speedometer that went up to 140. So like Chevy officially was like, you know what, we'll let you order them the way that you've been doing them.
Okay.
And that was like the last year of them. So like, you know, they're super, like the 69 one is like the official, super official edition. That's what it is, and that's the cool backstory to it, which I thought was really, really interesting. They like eventually like they make a new one. There's like a 2020 from 2016 to 2022. They let you buy a Yenko version of the Camaro, but it's obviously not like this dude who was pretty much making hot rods with these cars. Chevy officially acknowledged them and let him make one from the factory.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. I think that's like just a neat story. It's, you know, it has very Shelby vibes to it, right? Like,
well, it also feels like Chevy being like, hey, we can make money on this. Like, I
also
appreciate
that
it.
too.
I respect it. But it's also like, you know, this is a good idea. Like, let's just actually get a cut of it, right? So
yeah, and he, what was his dealership, like he's from Pennsylvania. His dealership was in Cannonsburg or something like that too. These cars were, this wasn't like LA or New York or Miami, right? Like he was just doing this in the middle of Pennsylvania. So just because that's what he wanted to do. So cool story that there's just like one dude that had an idea and it became something famous. They're like worth a ton of money now, obviously. And
did you say how long, like how many years they made them for?
So
Do you know?
he was doing it with other car. I think it was like he was doing it with like Corvairs and stuff beforehand, but specifically the Yenko Camaros were 67, 68, and then 69. And the 67, 68s like aren't really official because he like his
Right.
dealership was
Yeah.
doing it, not that it came like that from the factory. So like 69 is like the only time that they like did it from the factory. I think like here, and then there's like they did one in 81. People restore the 69s. In 2010 there was one, but like officially the main one was 69.
Okay, cool. Is the question that you have for this minute related, inspired by the cars?
Absolutely not. It's complete bullshit.
Because the only question I could come up with, and I'm glad that you have a question. I mean, I might
You
not be
don't
glad
yet.
when I actually hear the question. We'll see. We'll find out. But the only question I had was who drives what car, like who drives the Camaro, who
I
drives the
think that's-
Challenger.
I think that's a little nitpicky. Mine's
For
not
sure.
much better, but
Wait, so who drives the Camaro? Who drives the Yenko? Is that Fonzie or Fabio?
I don't even know. I couldn't distinguish it. Like I don't remember off the top of
Okay.
my head.
Okay, fair enough.
Like I didn't even separate them
So what is your question then?
because there is, and as you were reading it, Tej, Brian, Roman, Suki, and Jimmy, and then
Yep.
you have Fonzie and Fabio, and they each have a girl, right?
Yep.
Okay, how many people were at this race?
Whoa, okay, so 9. Okay,
Do you like that question?
sure.
Because you're either going to forget that the Fabio and Fonzie had 2 girls, you're going to forget that Jimmy and Suki were there. So I think what's the obvious answer? Like minus. So the right answer is 9.
So yeah, so we could either do like 7, 8, 9, 10, which is what I have in there now, or we could do like 4, 6, 9, or like 5, 7, 9, 11.
I like that better. No, 5, 7, 9, 10.
When Brian and Roman race Fonzie and Fabio for pinks, how many people, including the drivers, are at the race? And the answer is 9. It's tough.
Right? It's because you're gonna.
Well, I think we need to add 8 in there as well, and we'll just add 6. Fuck it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, that's so hard. I love
I feel
it.
like, because if you think about it, you're like, okay, so like they each have 2, and like I can see them each bringing like 2 people. Like I'm pretty sure Tej is there.
No, you have 4 cars. You start with 4 cars, right? So you start with 4 cars. You're like, definitely Tej is there. So that's 5. That like it's at least 5. Okay. And then you're like, I think Suki was there because she does the drop, right? So that's 6.
And then like, did they bring somebody? They might have brought somebody. So, okay, so 8. I added 4 also. So 4 through 10, each option available.
Oh god,
Good luck.
that is so miserable.
The answer 9. Minute 48. We now have 48 minutes, 51 questions.
I do love that this question has 6 answers.
7 answers.
Yeah, fuck, that's amazing.
Tough.
Amen.
All right, Joe, let us take a break. Oh, actually, the one other thing I want to say is the song that I said that started last minute, I couldn't tell, but it continues this minute, is the song 2 More Cars by David Arnold off The Score, which is, you know, this again, I've said it before, the score, the names of the songs of the score are very straightforward. We need 2 more cars. Okay, song name 2 More Cars.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it.
Perfect.
All right, let's take a break now, and let us bring in Brian to talk about Furious 7.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 225, Furious 7. This episode is brought to you by Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi. The excitement begins at Warner Brothers World Plaza, your portal to the uniquely themed lands that include Bedrock, Dynamite, Gulch, Cartoon Junction, Gotham City, and Metropolis. Shout out to Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi.
Well, shout out to WBWAD, and welcome back to the show. With us, as mentioned, as teased, the host, the creator, the twisted mind behind High School Slumber Party. One of the 2 twisted minds behind P.S. I Love Hoffman, a Philip Seymour Hoffman podcast. Retrospective, not podcast. So sorry. I hope you forgive me. With us tonight, we have patron of the show, friend of the pod, Slumber Party Late Night, Brian Rodriguez. Hello, Brian.
Hello. I don't think I'm that twisted on High School Slumber Party. I feel like I'm playing point on High School Slumber Party. Here, I'm just in the corner, ready to receive that ball and hit those threes. So let's do it.
Oh.
Well, welcome.
Good follow-up.
It feels like we haven't talked to you in so long, Brian.
It's so
I
long.
cannot believe that it's been seemingly days since we spoke to you about Friday Night Lights, which is available on Sunday if you're listening to this on the Patreon feed, only for Patreon, or already available if you want to join the Patreon. Super Bowl Sunday episode about Friday Night Lights. Go do that thing because it was a good episode. Hardly talked about the movie, which is understandable.
I don't think we hardly talked about the movie. You said that, and then I thought back, and I think we talked a lot about the movie. We just didn't talk scene by scene,
Or chronological or anything like
chronological,
that. But we talked about the themes of the movie.
which are more important. So
I think so.
Patrons, you let us know. And if you're not a patron, just go become one and then decide this debate. And if I'm right, then Joey will sign you an autographed Fast and Furious DVD of your choosing.
Okay, that you're gonna buy from me, right?
Oh, sure. That'll break the bank.
Yeah, eBay for like 19 cents. It'll cost more to ship it from Joey's house to the person than it will for Brian to buy it and ship it from eBay.
I mean, our Patreon is single-handedly keeping the post office afloat by me sending a stamped envelope once every 3 or 4 months. So
True.
I went to the post office today. I might go back again. So just do that thing. Wait, what's it? If we talked about the movie a lot, I'm going to send it. If we didn't, I'm not. Is that what the bet?
You know what? I'm going to do you even better. If you are a new patron this month, Joey will sign any Fast and Furious DVD you want and send it to you. I will pay the shipping.
But I have to buy the movie.
I can give you the money for the movie. I just think if I guess I could order it to your house. Just whatever cuts out the middleman. I just don't want to drive to your house, hand you a DVD, and then hand you a stamp or something.
Here's
you know
the thing. I will pay for the movie and the shipping if you drive to my house and hand deliver it to me.
I mean, whichever way you want to do it is fine. But I want a new patron this month. If you sign up, Joey will autograph any Fast and Furious film for you. Anyone. Big in the front.
Their choosing or of my choosing?
They're choosing. They're like, oh, I want Joey on Too Fast, Too Furious. I want him to sign it, right?
Here's the question. In the opening, we announced that we have a new patron, friend of the show, Nate Milton, the Kings of Sport podcast. He supported us. Does he get one? Because this is
No,
retroactive.
no.
So new patrons only from here on out.
I was going to say just one, but fuck it. No. As many... Whoever signs up from this moment that I've announced this, so that person you just announced doesn't count. That was before this.
So this episode comes out on February 15th. To the world, this is out on the 15th. So you have 2 weeks to join the Patreon.
Yes.
And some connection of me and Brian are going to purchase and sign and ship a signed Fast and Furious movie to you.
Not new. New.
Used. But it can't be the $1 tier. It has to be more than $1 tier. It has to be the $5 tier or above.
That's fair.
Okay, you could put that caveat on $5
because
tier.
Then I will, because in the $5 tier you get a handwritten note from us. You also get some stickers from us. So I will send it all as a total care package.
I like that.
Works for me. The Brian Rodriguez special.
2 weeks out there. You hear that, folks? If you want a copy, deals all day at Rasputin, deals all day at Too Fast, Too Forever. Signed DVD, handwritten note. You can even. I have like 12 different color Sharpies because I bought like a variety pack a while ago.
What about
you can
gel
pick a color.
pens? Do you have any gel pens?
No gel pens.
Paint pen? Those are the best for autographs. The paint pen. The good old paint
I do the
Don't have that
silver
either.
one. Those are good, yeah.
Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
So the question, and I know that you listen to every episode the minute it comes out. I know that you stay up until 2 a.m. because it drops at midnight, and you're like, I got to listen, and you listen at 1x speed because you respect the art of podcasting.
You know it. Especially Spy Racers episodes and Kung Fu movies
yeah.
I've never heard of. That's what I'm on front of the line for.
Definitely. So you're caught up on the pod. You know the question we've been asking, but I will just refresh just as a reminder to the listeners. We're kicking off every conversation this lap by saying, if you could imagine, because last lap, if you'll remember, let's take a trip back in the time machine in the DeLorean. Last lap, we were trying to figure out where Jacob is, because Jacob wasn't in any of these movies, but apparently always existed in the world. So this lap, we're pretending to expand the family even further, and we're asking the question, if you could add a family member, or a friend, but a family member, to any existing family member in this movie, who would you add to Furious 7? What would they be doing? What would you want to learn from them? So I don't know if you have an answer yet. I don't know if you want Joe to go first, because I have an idea. I'm sure Joe has an idea. But Brian, do you want to think about it, or do you have an answer?
Let me think on it for a little bit.
Joe, who do you want to add to Furious 7 family member?
So I had two separate options that I was thinking about as I was watching. Should I save the better one for last or for first?
Is the better one better because it's a joke or because it's actually more interesting?
No, it's like a really cool expanded theory. Okay, I'll do the shittier one first. I would like to see Mr. Nobody's wife and family. Does he have a family? Do they know that he's Mr. Nobody? Is he just like a normal family guy dad? Like, what is going on with that? Like, does he have a wife? When does he see her? Kids? Whatever.
That's not a shitty one. I like that. That's good.
I know.
What's your good one, though?
But my second one was I want to see Ramsey's younger sibling, and I imagine that Ramsey's younger sibling is actually just Frosty and Frosty's little sister.
Oh, cool. That's a Spy Racers reference, Brian, as you know, I'm sure.
Of course.
Like, the hacker kid in Spy Racers is Frosty, so I imagine that Ramsey is like their older sister that they don't really know about. But then we could intertwine Spy Racers, because they kind of play the same role, right? So
okay, yeah. Well, do you think is it sister or like Auntie Ramsey?
Oh, it could be an aunt. Yeah. I like that so much better, Joey. It's like the mom's younger sister.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. I like that. Okay, we'll go with that one. But
I like that. That's very cool.
Yep.
So
Brian, you got a question?
Is the family member someone who's real, or are we inventing them completely?
We're inventing them.
Either way, like, it could be someone that we've heard about. It could be like, we've said before, Brian's parents, Dom's mom, Vince's mom, like people that we know exist. But
okay,
it's going to just be like a Mr. Nobody's probably not married, but like it could be his wife, could be his family, whatever. So no rules, just right.
Okay, no, because I wasn't sure, because Spy Racers is canon, or is it?
I think it is.
So like I couldn't be like, oh, I wish Ja Rule was in this movie. Like, does that count?
Sure, you could.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. There's no actual rules, bud.
This is what complicates things for me, because I was like, I'm always going to pick Suki. So no matter what it is, I'm always going to pick Suki.
Okay. Let's back up for a second. I think for the first time didn't create a brand new character.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think generally, but I do like the tie-in, because I think it's bringing them into the franchise in a way that like Suki and Ja Rule are already like in this world. Spy Racers kind of is, kind of isn't, but I like the interconnected tissue. Like, we kind of know exactly. I guess my point, I don't know. There's no rules. There's no wrong answer. No. Like, we already know how Suki and Ja Rule exist within the family, right? But like, we don't really know how Spy Racers fits in. Auntie Ramsey, I like.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, because there's so many there's so many people from the movie franchise that I would just put. How about Ryan Reynolds shows up as The Rock's other friend with Mr. Nobody, right? I forgot his freaking character's name in Hobbs and Shaw. I'm gonna play by your rules, so still give me a little more time. That's
fine. Who I want to see? We've talked about this person a lot, Joe.
Yeah, who?
We're probably never gonna meet her. I want to see Hobbs's either wife or baby mama or whoever. We see Hobbs in the hospital with his daughter. Elena comes to pick up the daughter. I just want to see the daughter's mom.
You know what? Okay, so this was another thought that I had, that yes, you say that, and the last one, I had a third one too. Hobbs says, like, I'm leaving you with your aunt. I want to know who this is, because in Hobbs and Shaw, He says that, like, we don't have family and stuff, and he also leaves her with someone. Like, who is this person, and, like, who actually is it to you, So, like, I'm very curious about that as well. I'm
Unless he's saying, like, Auntie Elena, because, like, she's, like, a friend of the family, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also, like we talked about for years until he and Hattie kissed in Hobbs and Shaw. Spoilers for Hobbs and Shaw.
Whoa.
But if he's a gay couple and they just, like, adopted the daughter, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He
also that, just like, I want Hobbs's either current or past significant other, the co-parent with that child, if there is a co-parent in the picture. I just want to know more about Hobbs, because I feel like when we talked about this on Nate's show, on the Rocky Maivia Picture Show, and when we talked about it was specifically focusing on The Rock, it's a little disappointing because he was obviously filming another movie and he wasn't really available that much. So I think it would be nice in a movie with less Hobbs to know more about Hobbs by meeting another one of his family members.
I can dig that, yeah.
Brian, have you come up with someone new? Brand new character?
Is this the obvious one though? Like, am I? Is it just too obvious? Am I not caught up and someone's already named this character?
What? Tell me.
Of course, I host High School Slumber Party. This is a high school character. Nominees Denise.
Sure.
She shows up at the end of the movie.
I like that. That's good.
And she replaces Paul Walker in The Family.
So she's on the beach with them at the end.
And then we're like, oh, that's why that's her name. Because she's on the beach, we see that she has no knees, and that's where we are, right? I don't know. You guys are the biggest proponents of No Knees Denise. If you type no knees Denise in Google Images, 90% of it is stuff that you have put on the internet.
Is that a
Is it
true
really?
fact?
These are your stickers, right?
Oh, the first hit and the fifth hit and the sixth hit and the seventh hit are all RT Public.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to see the Justin Lin revisionary thing in F10 where like there is no knees Denise and they just like CGI her onto the beach of 7 and like, she was just there the whole time.
So I'm glad that you brought up CGI because I like that, but here's how I'm picturing F10 opening. Okay. Watching F7 with furious eyes, with fresh eyes, but furious eyes. I misspoke, but I also like furious eyes. Watching movies with furious eyes. I want, because this movie classically, iconically, at least in the extended version, because it's like an extended opening, opens with Deckard over the charred body of Owen Shaw.
Yes.
Establishing who he is. Like, hey, I'm this guy, we grew up together, baby brother, I used to get in trouble, I used to defend you, whatever, I'm going to avenge you. And then he walks out, kills people on the way out, right? Imagine, for a second, Fast and Furious 10 opens with a CGI Hobbs lying in bed, charred beyond almost recognition. Jason Momoa standing over him, giving the exact same speech. You thought these people were your family. You trusted them. Look what they did to you. And we're like, what happened? And he's like, I'm going to come for you, Dominic Toretto. And it's Momoa. It's the connection that we sort of guess or whatever. I don't think it would happen. It would also be the biggest slap in the face. Like, all right, okay, Dwayne, you don't want to be back in the movie? We're going to CGI your likeness and just have him charred up. Like, you're basically dead. Good luck making a Hobbs and Shaw 2, because we killed you off in this movie.
That's
and then Momoa's
pretty
like,
badass. That is a power move.
Do people really die in this universe, though? Even if they charred him up, he could make Hobbs and Shaw 2.
I put on Twitter when I was watching the movie, because we see Han's funeral, obviously, and I screenshotted the Han's funeral scene, and I just said, forever in our hearts, gone but not forgotten. And people were like, wait, is Sung Kang okay? It's
literally a screen grab from the movie, yeah.
It's just funny that we have, that Han dies in 3, Han dies in 6, we have a funeral for him in 7.
He comes back in 9, and people were still like, wait, did Sung Kang die?
Please tell me Sung's okay. I don't know. But anyway, those are good answers. I would love to see No Knees Denise. Although, we've talked about it before, but Brian, who do you picture playing No Knees Denise?
Oh.
Because Joe thought for a little while, when she was announced, we did not know her role, that Cardi B would play No Knees Denise.
I think at this point
she's
it has
great.
to be Tiffany Haddish, right?
Tiffany Haddish would be great.
I know you guys have talked about it. What is the consensus now, what that means?
Something sexual.
Yeah,
we stopped asking that question because we stopped asking most of the questions just because we get the same answers, and that's no shade to our guests. I think we just we tap the well. We're rarely surprised by those anymore, and it's something either she loves doing the thing or hates doing the thing.
I'm scouring the internet trying to get some clues here. We said Cardi B. How about? Oh no, she's already in the franchise. Oh god, it's really tough. I don't know. I'll come back to you with that one. I really want to take some time.
You have someone in mind that you just can't think of her name, or what?
No, I want someone perfect, and then
I think the tough thing in thinking of a No Knees Denise person is we've mythologized her so much in our brains for no reason.
Right? That's why I say it's gotta be like Tiffany Haddish, where it's like somebody that comes in and now she's pretty, and we don't know what she looked like in high school, and she's a comedian, so kind of play.
Yeah. All right, Brian, Furious 7, let's get into it. This is the 6th Fast and Furious movie that you were talking. No, 7th. I think the 7th Fast and... We just figured this out on the next episode, which we already recorded on the Friday Night Lights episode we're doing on Sunday. You only have 1, 4, and 9 left, so you've almost completed your full out-of-order weird lap. But Furious 7, remind me, where does this rank? Is this one of your favorite Fast and Furious movies? Is it in the middle? Is it in the bottom? Where does F7 rank for you, roughly?
I like F7. I don't know if it's in the middle because there's other ones I like, so could it be in the lower half? Sure. Probably not now. But I like this one. I think I had 1 through 7 on DVD at one point. I certainly saw, aside from the first one, I certainly saw 4 through 7 in the theater. Not that I'm not all in, sorry, but I was still definitely all in for 7. Excited when it came out. Really enjoyed it. Of course, this is the one where Paul Walker doesn't die, but this is the last film in the franchise. That was a big deal. I still remember going to, exactly, the moment Paul Walker passed away, I remember exactly where I was. I remember the person who texted me. I remember calling my friend. And I remember wondering what the hell they were going to do here. And there was that huge debate, right? Do we just delete him from the movie because he had shot some scenes? Do we reshoot CGI Paul Walker? I think a lot of people were worried it was going to be worse. You say CGI someone and it's kind of scary.
Well, that's an ongoing thing right now that people have asked us on Twitter, that our listeners have asked us on Twitter, because there is a certain show that has brought back someone in almost full CGI for a major role in episodes, and they're wondering if that would happen also with Brian. Can you bring back Brian? Has technology gotten to the point? My thinking is that technology is kind of at that point, but
emotionally,
I want a story to make sense. Yes,
they could pull it off because they're definitely going to have the blessing of the family and stuff. I still think it's kind of weird. I still think it's too fresh. I mean, if it's just a wink, you know what I mean? He's somewhere and he winks at us, great. But if he's doing action scenes and talking and shit, that's a little tough,
We had a weird experience with this in the sense that we watched the Paul Walker documentary, and his family still really, really wants him to be in the movies. And it's weird that the fans are the ones that are I don't know if you should bring him back, that doesn't feel right, when his family is very firm in that they're yeah, fuck it, his brother do it, we're cool with it.
Well, of course they want that. He's gonna get paid. What the hell else is a brother doing?
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like to us. That's what I'm getting to. But that it feels weird, right?
It definitely feels weird. And yes, you need the family's blessing, but I don't think they get final say on that, nor should they, right? If you're gonna piss people off and turn them away from this final installment because Paul Walker has a major role, it's weird. So randomly, it wasn't even the prep for this movie. The other day we were talking about 30 for 30 and ESPN Plus because of Friday Night Lights, and after I got off the call with you guys, I had to do some editing and just put on a random 30 for 30, and it was the one based on Al Davis, longtime owner of the Raiders, who passed away. And in that, they used CGI to bring Al Davis and Pete Rozelle, former NFL commissioner, back to and put words in their mouth to kind of give their they weren't opinions, they had Al Davis in a dark room. It's just win, baby, I won't accept anything. When I started with the Raiders, I didn't know where it would go, and Pete Rozelle saying his shit too, and it was this is kind of weird, and it really took me away from the documentary. Did they have to do that? Because I know, for example, the Jimmy the Greek one. I know your listeners love 30 for 30, so. But
yeah, we talk a whole bunch of sports for no reason. But go ahead, continue.
But that one has his voice, but you don't see the CGI, and it's a little better, but still kind of weird. This one, you guys should just definitely check it out because it's cool at times, but also again, these are two dead people who are suddenly kind of having a debate. We don't know what they would have said in this situation, right? Acting is different. This is a movie role. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll change things. But I would just if anything, a wink and a nod. He's in the car.
Well, we get that at the end of 9, right? The car pulls up.
Yeah, but
and that's good enough. I think that's the nicest way you can do that, right? That's the gentlest way to bring him back without I don't even need to see him. The car pulling up was cool enough for me. But I think in movie land, this was hey, we're testing out to see if you guys will be okay with us bringing him back for 10.
I do think, in a weird way, and I'm not sure if this is actually fair to him or to Jordan and Brewster, but I feel a way to honor his memory is to let Mia do things.
But she can't.
What do you mean?
She's a woman, Joey.
Wow. You want me to leave that in?
No, that's not my opinion. I'm just like being sarcastic about. I 100% agree with you. It's just
No,
like
because I mean, we talked about like when Paul Walker dies, Brian obviously is not in the movies anymore, and because Brian's not in the movies, they're just like, well, I guess Mia's not in the movies either. But like they bring Mia back for 9. I feel like no longer holding like putting shackles on her character is a way to kind of honor the memory of Brian in a way. I don't know if that's actually if that makes sense, but I feel like to me it kind of makes sense.
oh, it definitely makes sense. Like I said, I made that comment because it's so ridiculous that has not happened. Oh, Brian's too macho to be a stay-at-home dad while Mia kicks ass. We have weirder shit happen in this universe, and characters who had no background in something suddenly be the foremost genius in the world about something. She can't go and kick ass while he takes care of the kids at home. It's absurd.
And I think you're right, Joey. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Like, expanding Mia's character does honor Brian. And there's no reason, like, Mia can't even bring the kids along and be like, Brian's at home sitting on the couch watching TV, too. You know, he doesn't need to be involved.
Well, see, like, him taking care of the kids, I get. I think it would be weird if, like, all their lives are on the line and they're like, oh, Brian's just watching TV at home. You know, like, I brought the kids with me on this adventure, but, you know, Brian doesn't feel like it, you know. What are they going to say? Oh, he's injured or he's really depressed.
He rolled his ankle.
Just like Aaron Rodgers, he has COVID too.
Yeah, he stubbed his toe in his house when he was drunk.
Could you imagine they did that? Or even, like, if they're like, oh, he tested positive, he's in protocol, so Mia's going to
10-day quarantine.
Yeah.
Kind of works.
Does COVID exist in the Fastiverse?
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, sure, why not?
We don't see people with masks or who's vaxxed and who's not. I'm kidding.
You know what I really want to see, to change the subject entirely? What I really want to see is someone do a super cut of the chase through Tokyo, through like Shibuya Crossing, as Dom and Mia and Brian are at 1327, because we know that they end when the house blows up, right? Like that, Statham, T-Bones, Han. But like that's all happening at the same time. Like I just want to see like a split screen kind of racer trash style in a way where it's like two things happening simultaneously. Like one is like an action scene and one's just like casual hanging at home. But like just to really get the idea of the timeline down firmly, because like it's happening and like the movie shows at the same time because they have Statham call, they have Deckard call Dom.
Yeah,
just go all out. Let's see the whole thing.
You guys would know this more than I would. Is there a lot of extra footage on these DVDs when you get them?
Depends on the movie.
Okay, I was just curious for like alternate cuts or what you're saying. Like, I guess you could do it with the footage they have still, but I wonder after the franchise if they'll do like a chronological cut for whatever streaming service it ends up landing on, Peacock or whatever, eventually, right? Like when all the rights deals are done. Because Peacock is one of the most innovative streaming services with that, right? They've recut the first 4 seasons of The Office.
Did they really?
It's not recut. It's they're all like 35 minutes or around that length. Like they've put.
Oh, because like Netflix did that with Parks and Rec too.
Yeah, but that's
really
also
cool. Okay.
That's also because that I think is they're similar properties, and more streaming services are doing this as a way, like, I've seen The Office a million times. I've seen Friends a million times. I've seen a lot of shows a million times. Suddenly, there's new episodes of a sitcom I've seen a million times that are slightly different. And if you're a fan of these things, you could tell. So I'm just saying, or even the Snyder Cut, right? Like, it's a little different, but I'm saying when this lands on is it going to go to Peacock eventually?
I don't know. We talk about this a lot. Like, some of the Boy to podcast for you is just about, like, where do I find these movies? Because, like, streaming is insane.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot on and off the air with people on my show, that it's just a mess right now because of the rights deals that were signed way back when. But you would assume once all these rights deals expire that they're just going to land on Peacock, obviously because of the Universal thing. And if they're there, I would not be shocked if they did like a chronological cut somehow, or even like different versions of different movies and stuff, unless it just like makes complete like zero sense and they don't want to expose that. They gotta find ways to milk more out of the properties, and would have shocked me if that was a thing.
I could see a remix because what was the thing, Joe? Do you remember like several months ago someone sent us, I think there is on DVD or maybe it was a streamer, there's like a chronological.
Haley has it. It was on like Amazon. You could buy it on Amazon, and it made all the movies into just chapters. Remember?
Oh, yes.
It's like an Australian, like the Australian digital versions. You could buy like a pack that had them as a set and as chapters chronologically.
I can't find that anymore because I don't know what to Google, because everything I find is just like how to watch them in order. Just like, watch 3 after 6 and we get
exactly.
it. But I think they were like hour-long chapters or something, right? It was something like...
Yeah, even maybe like 30-minute chapters or something. And we were like, how do they cut the chapters? I remember we asked her about it, like, what is the splits and where do they stop it? Because we were so, like, confused by it.
It's out there in some regard. So what you're saying, Brian, is not, far-fetched, I think. But
And FYI, just doing some quick research here, it does appear that, well, every movie going forward will be on Peacock because they won't be selling the rights. But it does appear that, like, Universal or whatever company owns Peacock now, I think it's Comcast, shareholders have been told that they will retain all rights to films once their streaming rights expire elsewhere.
yeah, I mean, because I think everybody realized that, like, they messed up. Like, they need exclusives now, right? So,
well, I talked about this on my show, but the big mess up is, drumroll please, guys, a show I love to bring up. What is it?
Friends?
No, come on. I think every time I podcasted with you guys, or even wrote a letter about
love
it,
to bring up,
that I've never seen an episode of. Yellowstone, come on.
Oh,
yes.
So yeah, Yellowstone famously is a Paramount property. It should be on Paramount Plus, but they didn't think that Paramount Plus was going to be a thing, and they didn't think that Yellowstone was going to be a thing. So they sold the rights to Peacock in perpetuity, and that's Peacock's second most popular show after The Office. And CBS/Paramount is making zero money from it, essentially, except in like the first run. But no one freaking watches. What's the Paramount Network? I think it's just called Paramount Network. People stream that shit. So that's why they invented that old-timey one, 18 whatever. That's why they're trying to, like,
1883, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to spin off other shit, because they need to make money off their biggest hit. They usually don't sign movies into perpetuity. So, yeah, I can't imagine... I don't know when it's going to happen, but I would imagine in the next 3 years we'll get all the Fast and Furious movies on Peacock. I love streaming, sorry.
You love streaming. If there's one thing I know about you, Brian, you love streaming.
I do.
One thing I noticed this time that I never really paid attention to before, I mean, I've noticed before because it's insane not to notice, but when Hobbs is in the hospital and he's lying there, his gun is just on the tray, unholstered, pointing at the door. It's just like... It's like, come on, what are we doing here? And like eventually later, like when he breaks out of the cast and like he has this gearing up montage, he like checks it to like make sure it's loaded or whatever. But like, what are you doing?
It's funny because it's not like a military hospital. It's not on a base. It just seems like a regular civilian hospital.
I think that's pretty terrifying. Rachel and I were just somewhere really recently, and they put up a sign that said like no firearms, and we were like, well, that'll stop them. You know, like, so I'm imagining the hospital being like, you're not allowed to have a gun in here. And you're like...
Well, we know historically, Joe, that in places of law enforcement or order or rules and order or whatever, like in a police station, when there's a sign that says no smoking, when people ask, can I smoke in here? And the guy says yes, right? So, like, if Linda Boyd is above the rules, I think The Rock is also above the rules.
That's true.
But Brian, did you notice anything new this time around? Do you have favorite moments of Furious 7? Do you have least favorite moments of Furious 7? Just, we've talked to you a lot about the franchise, but hit us with, thoughts about this movie in particular, good, bad, otherwise.
Yeah, okay. So here are like a couple moments that I want to talk about. You've talked about a lot of these on previous episodes, but I have to mention it. When I was in the theater, them going to Race Wars and seeing Hector, yes. I went apeshit in the theater. It was like... Spoiler alert, Spider-Man. Well, I won't say what happens to Spider-Man, but everyone should know by now. It was that level moment for me. I'm like, yeah, Hector. So cool. I wish it was Bilkins as well, but that wouldn't make sense. So I liked seeing Race Wars. Thought that was a cool deep cut. Watching this today just reminded me how awesome Hobbs is. Like, I totally respect The Rock. I am Team Rock over Team Vin. But, I don't know. I watch a movie like this and he just commands such presence, and it's a shame that we're not going to see him again. And I truly believe we're not going to see him again in this universe. Vin Diesel's obsession with the country of my father and all my grandparents Joe, so they can be Olympians of that country
Don't
as well.
even
It's their
start
choice.
with your fucking cheating propaganda.
It's not cheating.
Joe, are you mad about Eileen Gu, or who are you mad about?
I was just wanted to just yell about nothing today as I was watching the Olympics, and they're like, here's like this girl from Canada that like skis for Slovenia, and I was like, what? Like, there's no way that she's like what like that. I was like, she's Canadian, like she should be on the Canadian team, like. And like I get it, but at the same, and like Brian and I talked about it. I was just, it doesn't really affect anything. It's stupid.
Well, when you attach the Grandpa Simpson, like the old man yells at clouds, when you throw that on the tweet, like I know that you're just being annoying to be annoying.
Yes,
so I understand that. Like I wasn't,
because I really wanted
serious.
people when I first said it, I was like, people might read this as like racism or like nationalism or something weird, and I'm like, no, I don't mean it like that. I'm just like, come on, man, like. But it makes a lot of sense. There's probably like 1 million people in America that would make the team, and there's like 20 in Slovenia that would make the team, so she can actually compete for Slovenia, not...
Because it's more interesting to me, like when Eileen Gu, who is like the best snowboarder or skier or whatever category she's in, maybe the best in the world, like she's winning gold and stuff, like, but competing for China rather than U.S., even though she lives in San Francisco, right? It's just like, I don't know, like, I'm sure she has a reason for that. I also, like, maybe because it's happening in China. I don't know, but...
No, sometimes it's as simple as Felix Sanchez, for example, won gold medals in the hurdles for the Dominican Republic. Like first, I think, gold medals for that country. And he, 4 years before that, was cut from the U.S. team, right? So he wasn't as good. But in the 4 years preceding, he got better. So maybe that's her situation too. Maybe she didn't originally make that team. You can't go back and forth. That's one thing they really, really don't let you do. I think you can make like a one-time change, but you can't be like, oh, like I'm on China this time, and now I'm on Canada, and I'm going back to China that time. Like no, like you. I think you can make a change once, and that's pretty much it. It might have been like when she was young, she didn't make the U.S. team because it was deep,
but like
or whatever.
At like 16, China would let her compete. So
exactly,
she got an
exactly.
extra run in.
And then you kind of, have to stick to it. But I didn't bring that up just to dig at you. I bring it up because Vin Diesel has this crazy obsession with Dominican Republic. We've seen this. He's not Dominican, but he travels there a lot. He lives there part-time in real life. He includes it in a lot of the movies, as you've seen. But if you're a Dominican watching this movie, there's such a deep cut here. Romeo Santos plays... I don't even know this dude's name. Romeo Santos is like the top bachata star, which Dominican music star in the world. He plays that person that they drop Mia off with.
Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
In his like castle complex there in a town called Montecristi, which is like also a deep cut town. Like only really Dominican people know that town, right? Like it's not like Punta Cana or something. So I just find it fascinating that like Vin Diesel's so entrenched in the Dominican culture that he puts like a deep cut like this in the film.
It's cool for you, right? Like when you see it, you have to be like amped.
No, I'm amped. I'm definitely amped. I'm not one who's like, oh, he's appropriating that culture. Like, no. And also, Michelle Rodriguez is Dominican, so like, it's not like it's that removed from the movie. I don't know if Letty is Dominican. They don't make that clear, or of Dominican extraction somehow. But she is, and he pays a lot of respect to it. So yeah, it is cool. But I'm more like, whoa, deep cut this dude.
I'm glad to hear that because last time when we talked about Tokyo Drift, and we've talked about this with Nico and Kevo before too, is that I don't want to say these movies appropriate culture or appropriate locations, but it feels like it's a tourist, sort of a high-level view. Like, it's not really New York in Fate of the Furious. It's not really Tokyo in Tokyo Drift. Like, it's like, yeah, we're in the town, we're in the place, but it doesn't really feel like it how it normally would. So to know that they do it right with Dominican Republic it's cool. Like that's a nice thing. Like I'm glad.
I wouldn't say like, you're getting a realistic view of it, but I would say it's more realer than other places because again, he spent time there, right? But it's just cool to be among all these other worldly places, right? Like
yeah, you're still involved. That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's the cool aspect of it. And again, on a not just brush through level. So yeah, I agree, Joey. It's cool to see, at least here. I can only speak for them, and I don't speak for all Dominicans. Obviously, I was born in America, and but my grandparents, though, Joe, were born. So you never know.
You have a point, though, dude. You guys should start a fucking curling team.
I mean, that's the one sport that at this point, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that. But at this point, like,
if you adopt a sport at 30 that you're going to go pro in, curling is your best option, I would say. Yes.
Yes, it doesn't seem like age is a big factor in curling. So, yes, that would be the sport.
Joe, have we talked about the Italian Job, the OG Italian Job connection in this movie with the dangling bus? Like, it's a different type of dangling bus.
We have.
We covered the Italian Job on here. We talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, when we talked about the Italian Job, we were like, oh, that's very similar to Brian and Seven with the dangling bus type situation.
Have we talked about Ronda Rousey's character name? Do you know what her character name is? I don't know if they say it. They might say it. I looked it up on IMDb. Because I'm like, is she just playing Ronda? Like, she might as well just be playing Ronda Rousey, right? Like, as private security.
Yeah.
Do either of you know Ronda Rousey's character name in this movie?
I do not. What is
I do not. She was big in my notes, though, so.
Kara. K-A-R-A. So not like Kara Gale Regan, different spelling, but K-A-R-A.
Okay.
She might as well be playing just Ronda Rousey. Like, she's just playing muscle, security, whatever, but, like, to give her a name, okay, cool. But, like, I don't know if they ever say her name. They might. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably just in the credits or something. I can't imagine that they're, like, actually saying this.
When was, what's her name? The other UFC fighter who's in this franchise?
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano, the canceled Gina Carano.
The canceled Gina Carano. I feel like they gave her a lot more to do than Ronda Rousey.
Well, when you see Ronda Rousey deliver lines...
Yeah, okay. No, I agree with you completely. But her fight scene is really, really good with Michelle Rodriguez. I think it's one of my favorite fight scenes in the entire franchise. But I remember around this time, people were so hyped for Ronda Rousey, like, acting. There was, like, a rumored Roadhouse remake with her and stuff like that, and a couple other things. And there's a little bit... You said it, I didn't, but I agree. Like, I'm not sure how good she is with those natural acting chops. It's just funny that she was so hot at the time.
Well, this is around... I think this is probably the same year as the Entourage movie.
Oh, yeah.
She plays herself, but Turtle's like, hey, I want to go on a date with you. And she's like, if you can stand 30 seconds in the ring with me or whatever, I'll go on a date. And like, he doesn't, but they still go out. I think that's the premise of that scene. I don't know.
Is anyone from Entourage in the Fast and Furious verse?
Not the big four. Not Piven. Not Lloyd.
I don't even think, like, cameo-wise, right?
I just feel like there's, like, people who originally liked this franchise probably also originally liked Entourage. And that's not, like, a diss at all. It's just, like...
No, I think, and, like, we talk a lot about trying to figure out who else they could add to the franchise. And I don't think he would fit. I think he's also doing his own thing. But, like, it wouldn't be crazy, although maybe he's a little bit too old now, for Mark Wahlberg to show up. And Wahlberg is the inspiration for Entourage, right? So...
Yeah, he just was doing his presser for, like, the video game movie. I saw him, like, all last week. He was on everything because he was doing this junket. What's the movie? Uncharted.
Oh, yeah. I guess the only connection would be Ronda Rousey, right? Because you mentioned it, but even looking on here, I don't see anyone who, oh man, I don't know. It just feels like it matches testosterone, but at different levels.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We could talk about the ending whenever, very emotional, but before that, one of my favorite, like, Rock moments in his life is breaking that cast at the hospital.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's like the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
I thought that was very cool, yeah.
And it's straight out of a wrestling promo too, right? Like this is when what's his name? Like, was it Bret Hart that did it or Shawn?
We had Shawn Michaels.
With Triple H. Yeah, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels when he had the fake, or it was Triple H did it too when they had like the fake like wheelchair in the cast. And moves his leg out like because it's not really in a cast.
Brian, you have any other notes? Any other thoughts about Fury 7?
I remember talking with the Foodie Films man, Kyle Reinfried, about this movie, and he has a love-hate relationship with the franchise.
How much of that hate is because of au pairs?
Partially. Joey, being at, with a lot of those guys at Ramapo, a lot of them really, really love film. And coming out of college, when you're 20, if you love something, you think you know everything about it, right? Like, you're such a little asshole. Like, with anything, not just film. Like, if you feel like you're an expert on something because you went to school for it, those early 20s, you're a dick. And the Fast and Furious franchise to Kyle at the time was definitely like lowbrow for what he was into. You know, now he's definitely not like that. Now he's that's not how he operates. But this is the dude who, like, at the time, he would watch every trailer that came out, take notes on trailers, you know, get really excited for film and the Oscars and things like that. And Fast Five is not that. It pleases the crowd, and that's great. And that's the movie that pissed him off that now he really loves. So he's transformed as well. But this one, I remember speaking to him after he saw it, and he's like, it's really great. That ending was really emotional. Why not just end it here? He's like, that's the perfect ending for this franchise. Do we need more films? Because they just sent it off in the most beautiful way possible.
He has a good argument.
I was going to say, obviously you guys don't agree, but I feel like he has a point.
No, I mean, I don't disagree. I personally always want more. I think that what they're doing in 8, 9, and Hobbs and Shaw are good. It's going to have to come down to how they end it in 10, right? Like, is the ending in 10 going to be better than how they ended this one? I don't know if you could top it.
Well, I know that they have said behind the scenes that when Paul died, they didn't even know if they should finish 7. If they're like, why even go on? Like, we just can't, like, I feel it's disrespectful or whatever. They decide to keep going. And then famously, Vin has said, I can't even get that straight. Vin has said that Furious 7 is for Paul and Fate of the Furious is from Paul, right? So, like, it moves on. I think it's not really a surprise that 8 is one of the lesser films in the franchise, that one that people like less, that was critically received less, that still made over $1 billion, I think, right? But like, how do you reorient your franchise after your star dies? It's hard.
So I don't want to be that guy who listens to a lot of podcasts and starts copying those podcasts. I'm no, but I'm kidding.
God, oh fuck!
This is gonna
You have to
hard
beep
edit.
that one, Joey. You have to just beep that one. You can't cut it. You just have to beep it. Oh God.
No, but I don't want to be that guy who listens to a podcast and starts parroting it. Like, sometimes I have to stop myself from doing that because you're just like in the mode. But I listen to Bill Simmons a lot, and especially like not his like regular shows, but like his shows where he really explores like basketball history.
Yeah.
He has this category called Apex Mountain. And basically, in a basketball player's career, in a team's longevity, where was the apex of that, right? Like,
Sure. Okay.
like you know, it doesn't mean that it was all downhill from there, like, you know, to the bottom. It's just like, where's the top of
No,
the
but
Fast
just
and
like,
Furious
what was
mountain?
the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could argue that this might be the apex of the entire franchise.
It's either this or 5.
Yeah.
Five is like so good. It's so, and even revisiting 5 now, anytime it's on, it's so rewatchable. It's probably not even probably. It's definitely the most rewatchable of the entire franchise. So you could make a great argument for 5. But if it wasn't going to be 5, again, like I said, it might be this. I don't know.
We had someone on recently this lap, and I don't remember who it was, but it might have been Dan Colon of The Monsters That Made Us, featured in Variety, where he said that when he watched 5 and 6 back to back, he didn't like 6. It made me think for the first time, like, and we talked about it on that episode, that 6 could feel like a knockoff of 5 in a way. Like, it's a less good version of 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe and I both love 6. Like, I think it's both in our top 4, maybe. And
Yeah.
at the end of this lap, we're going to, listeners, stay tuned, because Joe will actually have to give real rankings.
I
'cause
will.
This is
I'm dreading it.
a multiple of 5. I know. I thought about it again today. I'm like, ooh, so exciting. It's a rule that you made up. That's not even my
I
rule.
know,
It's just like your rule. So, but like, I never thought about it, because like, I think most people love 6, but if you watch 5 and then you watch 6, it's like, yeah, 6 is kind of like a less good version of 5. And then 7 kind of rebounds. I do wonder, like, 7 is the one, and I think it was your girl, Kate Hudson, who, like, kind of fucked us up on 7, because I think that 7, it's not at all the movie that they wanted to make, obviously. Mm-hmm. And it feels like a couple movies, and I think they stick the landing, but 7 is the hardest one for me to place of all the movies in my rankings.
Interesting.
Yeah. It often gives me a lot of trouble, too.
Do you think that maybe we get to the top of the mountain in 5, and we're sort of just because they do have a similar formula. Maybe we're just cruising at the top of the mountain, you know? We're not going down that much.
We plateau?
Yeah, we plateau a little bit. We're just chilling. And we start the descent with this ending, maybe. Not the descent to badness again, because there's still a lot of great things that happen after this, but...
You're just saying the apex mountain. I get it.
Yeah, but I think the start of this apex, maybe the tippy top is 5. I still think we're towards the top of that mountain here. No, they could blow us out of the water with 10. It could be amazing, but it's also the end of things. You know what's funny, right? Like, Vin had this plan for 10 whenever it came to be. And if 5 is the apex, pretty solid, spacing there, Vin. So good for you.
I do wonder, and I don't think this is fair to the memory of Paul Walker, but I wonder if Paul had lived, if 7 would be better or worse.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought that I haven't thought about before.
I think you could argue both, right? We obviously don't know, but there's a chance that it's better because it completes the story they wanted to tell. But what if that story was just like lesser, or just like the same as 6? You know, 6. Dan Colon or whoever said it. Says that 6 is worse because he watched 5 like right before, right?
Right.
Maybe it's just more of the same. So standalone, it's fine, but just like after 6 and 5, that it's just like, here's another heist thing. They are making an effort to add new characters, which is awesome, and these characters will go on to be really major characters in the rest of the film. That wasn't added post Paul Walker, right?
What?
Like Mr. Nobody and no, right?
We don't know, but when he did die, I remember the movie was like almost done.
Yeah, I think it was almost done. I think it was largely done. They had to redo things. They had to CGI him in. It just feels like, and we've talked about that because we talked about this movie 10 times on this show and then also on Nate's show once. And so like we've talked about this movie a lot, and it feels like the Mosey Jaconda stuff does not belong. Because the main antagonist in this movie, this should just be Deckard versus the family. And the Mosey Jaconda stuff adds this whole layer, and then you have the whole Paul Walker send-off, and like there's just a lot going on here that doesn't quite gel together. It kind of does, and it kind of doesn't. And it also sets up like, you know, Mia being pregnant, and like would that have been Letty being or Elena being pregnant? Who knows, right? Like it just, there's a lot of things that like kind of get reworked, or I don't know. Both in this movie and in the next movie, too.
I do think that this movie gets a giant pass from the fandom because of the emotional circumstances of the end. And I think that sometimes it's hard for a lot of people to talk about this movie critically because it's ultimately linked to Paul Walker's death. So if you criticize any parts of the movie, you might be, you know, degrading the character or Paul Walker. And that's why a lot of times we get rankings and people have 7 really, really high. And I get that it does mean a lot to a lot of people. But is it because it's a better movie than some of the other ones? Or is it because you have an emotional
I think
attachment?
it's hard to separate the emotion. I think it's that.
Yeah, I think it's very, very hard. And that's why I'm like... And it makes me wonder, like, if Paul Walker... Okay, so then, if Paul Walker is in this, like, where does this movie rank? Like, he doesn't die in the middle of filming... So we have, like, we cut the end scene where he drives off in the car. Where does this movie rank then?
I think it's lower.
Much, right?
I think, Brian, to your apex point, I think, and why you'd say this is 5 is so rewatchable, is I think that, like, after the 5th movie, the plots become complicated, like, almost overly complicated, where it's like, okay, so 6, we have the scene on the bridge, and then, like, it was going to be, like, literally the final sequence was supposed to be from another movie, that they jammed 2 movies together. So they have the bridge scene and they have the runway scene, right? And then here kind of feels like 2 different things. And 8 is like a whole weird thing with Dom against the family. I think why 5 is so rewatchable is because it's simple. And so I think if you're looking at it like objectively in terms of like what's the best made movies, it might be like 5 and then 4 and then like 3 and 1. I don't know. Like I think that in terms of like actual storytelling, instead of just like giving us what we want, the best movies are all in the first 5, and then movies like this are like lower, and it's hard to separate everything, I think, because we're also way too close to this. But I think you're right, Joe. I think it's lower. I think it's not like down like 2, 4, 8 area in terms of popularity, but I think it's like bottom of the middle third, or however you want to use your wording.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just think, to kind of agree with you, Joey, that I don't know if it's even possible to do that exercise and separate pop culture from this series. I feel like from 4 on, anyone who's listened to my show knows that when I say fan service, I don't mean that as a dirty word. There's a lot of fan service for the rest of the series. People are brought back because the fans want them back. And again, it's not always it's a good thing. It's like awesome to see that. So the way that it interacts with what happens in the real world is a big part of this entire franchise. And Paul Walker's death, like, it's just inseparable from this movie, as well as the ending. Like, this is a disaster when it happens. It happened to Bruce Lee. It happened to his son, unfortunately, you know. It's happened in a couple different cases, and it's not always handled well. There's with the Heath Ledger one, right? This might be the best handling of one of your leads dying in the middle of the movie and continuing it. That's what I meant by the apex, and I think that's what Kyle was talking about too. Maybe, yes, as a movie, no. But as a scene, as a moment, would have totally been okay if they just retired at that point.
Well, I think the for many fans, I think the thing that you think about when you think about the franchise is probably the "See You Again" either song or moment or scene.
It's
right?
your
like,
theme. It's your theme, right?
Not anymore. It hasn't been for like 100
I know,
episodes.
but it was your theme at one point.
It was.
Yeah.
It's your not free rights theme.
Yes. Before we're like, hey, let's not get copyright flags on YouTube. Let's not have somebody. And so Nico may be opening. So
I'm glad you bring that up, though, Joey. I do want to make a note on that in terms of musical moments in the franchise. It's funny because you brought up 5. Well, okay, I'll just give it to you. What are your top musical moments in the franchise? It has to be this. See You Again, right? It has to be Dance Kuduro.
Yes.
Tokyo Drift, maybe?
Yeah, a bunch from Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, I would say like the Tokyo Drift theme going into the Los Bandoleros, like how they mix it in and then he shows up. Vin shows up, you know? That's a really cool musical moment. Anything else?
We've talked about this. We haven't talked about this in a while, though, so I don't remember our answers. But I do think the Time in a Bottle to open Hobbs and Shaw is not as iconic as those, but I think it's perfect for that scene.
It's great.
Hobbs and Shaw has one of the most underrated soundtracks in the franchise, and it's something that I come back to a lot. Like, I listen to the Hobbs and Shaw soundtrack because I think it's so fucking good.
It is really good. I mean, this is a personal one for me, but I know people don't agree. Like, ending with Joe Budden in Too Fast, Too Furious.
He's in it twice.
Them walking off just like G's is awesome to me.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name of the song now, but in the first movie, when there's the SWAT raid.
Oh, yeah. It's that really, like, hard... I forgot that band.
Dope, Debonair, yes.
Yeah.
Where and that's also when Dom and Letty are having sex in the garage, and Brian's doing the thing, and, like, there's the Johnny Tran slap. Like, that's just a cool, like, dirty kind of metal song that like the franchise sort of abandons, but like works so well. Or I don't know if it works so well or just like that it just works in that scene and we just love it. You know what I mean? Like it just fits because that's a great scene that we love and that we dissected into whatever. But I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. We get it since we go back to Tokyo. We get it replayed here, but also that opening song in Tokyo Drift. I don't know the name. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like
plays with Ba with the Ba is like one of the first ones. Oh no!
Oh, that's not the one I'm talking about.
No, it's DJ Shadow. It's like
2 weeks. I forgot the name.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, like
It's Only Sunday.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
Only Sunday. Yeah, exactly. And that
6 days.
6 days. Sorry.
It's 2 weeks minus 8 days. You were close.
Yeah. I do love DJ Shadow too. Are you a fan of DJ Shadow, Brian?
I'm not gonna say I'm not a fan, but I'm just not aware of his oeuvre or her oeuvre.
It's his. It feels like
to introducing.
Yeah, it feels like something that like you would like for some reason. I don't know why.
Because Brian's a man of refined tastes.
Also true. That's probably one of my favorite albums of all time. But like DJ Shadow it has like a I don't know, it just has some kind of vibe that like I'm like, oh, I think Brian would like this.
Oh, looking him up now.
Yeah, introducing that whole album, just play the album straight through. Like, that's what you...
Joe, do you have any other notes, any other thoughts about Fury 7?
This was the first time that I noticed at that party that the girls were painted gold. That shows you how close that I paid attention to the background in this movie. Obviously, we haven't done the minute yet.
And even as, like, they open that scene with, like, a close-up of the woman painted in gold.
Oh, yeah, multiple times. The whole scene. And this is the first time I was like, oh, they're painted gold. That's interesting. So when I was watching it this time, I was actually like hyper focused on that scene just because I was like, oh, like once I noticed that I didn't notice that the girls were gold before, I was like, what else haven't I noticed? And there was just a lot. So it was like watching it for the first time again, and I felt really good that, even on lap 10, there's a scene that like I totally remember because I remember all of the, what karaoke song would you sing and T-Pain being in it. I remember all of those
T-Pain,
things, but at the
yeah.
same time,
Oh.
I also don't remember.
Crazy.
Go ahead, yeah.
What a party.
Brian, do you have any other notes, any other thoughts? Or Joe, other than watching this movie apparently for the first time, do you have any other thoughts or notes on this movie?
No, I was mainly focusing on who do I want to see siblings of, and I already told you all of my sibling ideas, and I thought they were good. So I'm proud of myself. 2 pats on my own back. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Brian, any other thoughts, or do you want to play a couple games? Or a game?
Back to this party. Crazy party, the buildings. I mean, that was... Is it known if Abu Dhabi or the Emirates in general paid, helped finance the movie to be so featured like this?
Ooh, that's a good question because we just saw all those Zeph commercials that he did for, Emirates, like Air Emirates, right, Joey?
Yeah.
So you're right. They might have given them some money for this, huh?
It is an exotic location. They go to exotic locations, especially in this. They're bouncing around like spy racers, am I right, guys? But
Yeah.
But, it feels like they park here, no pun intended, and they're really, showing a lot of shit in Abu Dhabi. I don't mean shit in a negative way. I mean in a positive way. That they're just really featuring this place. So, wouldn't shock me if they help finance. As we know, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the Emirates in general, they do finance a lot of Hollywood productions. So, it wouldn't shock me, is what I'm saying.
I would never doubt corporate synergy in this franchise or any major tentpole franchise.
Even if they just comped everything while they were there, that's still huge for a movie,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Any other notes, Brian?
I'll get to some stuff when I do my plugs, but I'm good. Really actually enjoyed this watch. It's always emotional, that ending. Great song, great moment, and yeah, I mean, that's really the best part of the movie.
Well, it's time to get to the best part of the show, which is this Ain't No 10-Second Race, a.k.a. Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah.
So this is where we go on twitter.com, a.k.a. the Bird app, and we find any tweet from anybody we don't know, and we respond to them from the Too Fast, Too Forever account, try to get them to watch... Well, not watch the movies, but listen to the show because they're watching the movies or something. We'll find out what we're finding. And, there's a scoring system, and it's very difficult because nobody ever actually engages with us usually. So I was looking, Brian, do you know how many points you have?
I don't think I've ever scored a point.
0 points. Grand total of 0 points. You are 100% correct. You have never scored a point in this very, very difficult game.
Even when Joe and I have played on my show for Twilight, no one has ever scored a point there, too, so maybe I'm just unlucky.
Yeah, it's also just really hard, and it shouldn't be hard, but it's hard, so, it is what it is. But before we do this episode, we're going to review last episode's tweets. I found Morgan at @XMorganNewell saying, how come I never see you drift? And I chose Morgan because Morgan in her bio says, because you never ask. And also, it was like living my life a quarter mile at a time. So she changed her bio from a Fast and Furious quote to a different Fast and Furious quote. We responded, because you never ask, and she didn't engage. Boy, do we have a podcast for you? No, of course not. Because, Morgan, I cannot be more explicit. Your family, you love the Fast and Furious. Give us a shot. You don't care. So, 0 points for me, of course. Joe, you found Meatball Shorty at Shibuya Dreams, who had a whole tweet as they rewatched the Fast and Furious movies leading up to F9. And then Meatball Shorty said, wait, so in Tokyo Drift, Sean's dad keeps saying how he thought Sean was supposed to arrive on the 7th, which is the day he shows up and he's surprised he's there, and tells him how he would have picked him up. But then in the second tweet, but your mom said the 7th, and we're a day ahead here in Japan, so then shouldn't he have been wondering why his son wasn't at the airport the day before? And then it's a meme of someone trying to do math in their head. And we said, you have no idea how often we've tried to figure this out and still makes no sense. We even asked the actress who plays Sean's mom, and she doesn't know. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. We linked to the Linda Boyd interview. And Joe, as you told me so celebratorily last Wednesday night or last Thursday night, whenever, Meatball Shorty liked the tweet. So Joe gets 1 point.
Thank you, finally. I would like to thank God. I would like to thank Everyone that made this possible. I appreciate you. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you.
We had Reed Vanier on from the Dr. DC podcast, Angela at Norse Nerd, me and Amanda after Fast 6 when they showed the clip of Han's quote-unquote death in Tokyo Drift and realizing Tokyo Drift actually happened after 5 and 6. And it's Sam Jackson going, And we said, just wait till you get through all of them because there's another surprise in store. Then, after you finish watching them all, listen to us because, boy, do we have a podcast for you. It got a like, but it got a like from Reed, who, found that tweet. So no points for Reed. Sorry, Reed. Goose egg on the board. Joe, did you find a tweet this week? Did you find a tweet for this episode?
I did. Here, hold on. I have one here. I have, like, a good one, but I also had some ones that were pretty funny. This is Addie at GooseMe, M-I.
Okay.
So maybe Goose, Michigan. Watching a video where they said Tokyo Drift is the worst Fast and Furious movie, but all the comments are like, it's actually my favorite Fast and the Furious movie. I have found my people. I would like to respond. We also love Tokyo Drift. Trust me, there's a lot more of your people here. Come home with like two hands, like give it to me, baby. Like the scene from Chappelle's Show where Prince is like beckoning them, kind of, and be like, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
We also love Tokyo Drift. Trust me, or trust us. There's a lot more of your people here. Come home. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And it's the gif of him saying, baby, come give it to me.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brian, did you find a tweet?
Yes.
Give it to me, baby.
Well, as you know, I usually play for charity as well, so...
Okay.
Truly.
Yeah.
Here is my tweet for myself. No, we'll play this one for charity.
Okay. Oh.
I don't really... Okay. So it is by Johnny_Dev.
This is wonderful, Brian. This is a
Okay.
great tweet.
You can try to explain it because I've avoided the Wordle craze, but it says Wordle 222 5 out of 6, and it shows his Wordle thing, right?
Yep.
And then it's in Spanish. The rest, I don't speak good Spanish, but I know what it means.
The scene in Fast and Furious 7 in Abu Dhabi where Toretto and O'Connor jump alike in hypersport from one skyscraper to
Yes,
another.
I was going to read it in Spanish, but yes.
Read in Spanish.
No, you got me off the hook, which is nice. So, Joey, you're going to write...
Are we doing it in Spanish?
Yeah,
Are we responding
yeah.
in Spanish?
Chico, nosotros tenemos un podcast para ti.
Okay.
Just boy, do we have a podcast for you?
Yeah.
In Spanish?
Yes.
Perfect.
Boy, we have a podcast for you.
Because that, there's no real direct translation. Like, do we have a podcast for you? Because that's more of a question. It's just kind of a way we say things in English.
Yeah.
So is that one for charity or is that the real
That one is for charity.
Okay.
My real one.
What was the Wordle? Like, what was the Wordle that, was it like...
It's, you can look, I just retweeted it. It's two green, like he got the fourth letter right. And then, so it's like the vertical, like a taller tower and then a shorter tower. And there's a yellow dot in the middle. And so he's going from the one tower to the other tower.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now it's the design of how the words. I thought that he was referencing like, whatever the like word was of the day.
No.
was this.
No, I don't remember what Wordle 222 was.
I should have explained that better. But yeah, no, exactly.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense.
I don't know Wordle enough, so I don't know like the terminology. But I guess it's just a picture of that.
If you just search Wordle 222, the first thing that comes up is from @@@star@222xen. Notice how all the hot bitches don't tweet that Wordle game and has 84 retweets.
So just to be clear, everyone's Wordle is the same.
The day, yes, on any given day, the word is always the same.
Okay, interesting.
Did you guys see the tweet that was like, I gave my conservative Fox News mom Wordle and found like a Wordle website for her, and now she doesn't watch Fox News anymore, and she's become like a much better person because all she does is play Wordle now. And so she just texts me about bitching about Wordle or not being able to figure it out or getting them right, as opposed to texting me about like, lizard monsters and stuff like that.
Wordle may change the world. I think it already has.
Yeah.
And are you ranked in your score for Wordle, like in the world?
Nope.
Okay. When you said simple was maybe better for the Fast and Furious movies, for things like Wordle, I think that simplicity is what made it take off. So.
Yep.
No, for sure, because it's one a day, and everybody's the same, and it's simple and it's pure.
This is the tweet I'm playing for myself. It's a retweet by _Kunmi. Buzzer is his name. And it has a picture of a Looper article that says Black Widow versus Wonder Woman. Who will win? And he comments, Black Widow cannot even beat Ronda Rousey. Hell, she can't even beat Vin Diesel's girlfriend from the Fast and Furious. And it has like that laughy, sweaty emoji.
What do you want to say to Boozor?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I am so bad at these.
Clearly, you have 0 points.
Well, I'm so bad at like the reply part, though. Even she can't even beat Vin Diesel. I would say she has a name, and it's Letty.
Wait, you want to shame this person into like...
Yeah, I wouldn't take that approach. Go ahead.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
We're hoping that Death can't even beat her. Something along the lines of like, Gal's going to come back. Widow doesn't even have a chance because not even Death can keep... We hope that not even Death can keep Gal down. Or something like that. Like...
Yeah.
Black Widow cannot even beat Ronda Rousey. Hell, she can't even beat Vin Diesel's girlfriend from Fast and Furious. Has Scarlett Johansson and Michelle Rodriguez been in the same movie?
That's what I was trying to figure out as well. I don't really understand. I think you just might mean in general. Let's see. I can hear you typing and looking for it. Scarlett Johansson.
Mark Ruffalo took a picture with both of them at the 2002 Spirit Awards. I don't think they've been in a movie together.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Not off the top of my head, at least.
Well, maybe he's just fantasy booking. I don't know.
Or
So
fantasy.
I'm going to say Widow doesn't stand a chance because Wonder Woman also has the power of #family.
there we
Or the
go.
podcast
Sure.
for you.
Does he think that Ronda Rousey plays
Don't know, man.
whatever? Oh man. Well, that was fun, guys.
Hold on. I got to play.
No, that's okay. I'm kidding.
I'm between two. I'm trying to figure out which one of these two that I want to do. Maybe I just retweet one and just respond to here. So here's the two. And then, Joe, I'd like your pick on which one I want to do. So I have here from Jordy, and then the plant or the leaf emoji, Euphoria spoilers, at Collars Arcane on Twitter, saying, watching Fast and Furious 7 with my family, and I'm trying to psych myself up not to cry at the end of credits. And there's a picture from MS Paint that either they drew or they found online. And there's a house, and there's an arrow that says home, and then there's an X, and it says where this tweet hits, and then there's a little arrow in between that just says very close. So this tweet hits close to home.
Okay.
And I love that. There's also, similarly, Jacob Dirk at Jacob Dirk 38. The moment in Furious 7 was more than just Brian saying goodbye to Dom. It was all of us saying goodbye to Paul. And then there's a picture, there's a meme, it says where girls cried, and it's Jack and Rose at the end of Titanic, and then it's where boys cried, and it's the end of Brian and Dom at the end of Furious 7.
Yeah, I think we've had something similar to that one, or at least
I
I've
like 'em both.
retweeted it once, or like somebody else made a very similar.
I'm gonna like and retweet both. I'm not gonna respond to Jacob Dirk. I'm gonna respond to Jordy, and I'm gonna just say this is gonna get messy, but I'm gonna say something along the lines of like, in Dune, we learned the spice must flow. If Fast and Furious has taught us anything, it's that the tears must flow.
Oh.
It doesn't make sense. They don't reference Dune at all, but I just have in my head the spice must flow all the time, basically. So,
Yeah. I like it.
in Dune, we learned that the spice must flow. In Furious 7, we learned that the tears must flow. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Bingo, bango. I mean, I don't know why we're overthinking this ever, because it never works. It never matters. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't, to be honest.
Nothing is real.
Nope.
Nothing is real. But Brian, what was real, it was you joining us here for this episode. Thank you for joining us for Furious 7. You'll be back on Sunday for Friday Night Lights, Patreon exclusive episode if you're not. So again, I'll rehash our promo for the back half of February. Join the Patreon at $5 a month or above, and Brian and I combined will send you a copy of the DVD, any of the DVDs in this franchise,
True.
signed with the stickers and the handwritten note. And then also get access to this Friday Night Lights bonus episode that we released just 2 days ago on the Patreon feed. But Brian, thank you for being here. What would you like to plug? Where can people find you and your projects online?
Well, a future appearance as well on the Patreon. That's a secret movie, but it's a sexually charged movie, and I can't wait to talk about it. So definitely be a patron. You're going to want to hear a movie that I've acquiesced the boys to letting me be on. So definitely be a patron of this show. Get your signed DVD. Check out High School Slumber Party. We have a bunch of cool stuff happening mostly twice a week. Probably going to be twice a week now because Joey reverse guilted me into that. So Mondays and Fridays, check it out. Also, P.S. I Love Hoffman. Those episodes are still there with the Foodie Films man, my co-host Kyle Reinfried. That show might come out this year. Who knows? And I teased it on your Patreon episode that comes out later. But Joe, you know this, but Joey.
End of March, beginning of April, where are you going to be? You're going to be in a fast city annoying me or something.
Yes, my brother. My brother has his bachelor party in Miami, the home of Too Fast, Too Furious. And every time Danza Kuduro plays, I will be putting it in our group chat and letting you know wherever we may be. Maybe I'll take a photo of myself as well. Maybe I won't.
Maybe you should just record a video, don't put yourself in it, and then just send it to us on Twitter from High School Summer Party.
I could do that. I was even thinking of dressing like Brian. You know how Brian's like really long t-shirt in...
The West Coast Choppers one? Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of dressing like that in Miami. These are guys who I don't know if they watch Fast and Furious movies. They're a little bit younger, but they're like pretty professional doctors, lawyers, people like that. I'm not saying those people can't watch the Fast and Furious movies. I just don't know if they do. Was thinking of just playing the "Oh shit, it's Brian" sound clip when I walked into the rooms. You know, when walking to the club, maybe. I don't know. But Joey, you'll be bothered with all my Miami travel things and everything related to Too Fast, Too Furious. So hope you share it on the air.
Perfect. We absolutely will. Have a great time. I mean, that's in a month and a half or 2 months, so I'll talk to you before then. I'll talk to you probably tomorrow or tonight, but have a great time in Miami. Brian, thank you for joining us once again. Joe, next week we have a big endeavor. It's not a big endeavor. It's a medium-sized endeavor that we're kicking off, a 3-parter with maybe aforementioned, maybe not. I don't remember what I cut out. This episode is going to be wild to edit. We are kicking off a 3-part mini-series about the Transporter films.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I've never seen any of them. Have you seen any of them or no?
Not one. Nope.
Whoa, really? Sorry, I just expected you guys to have seen those films.
No, we're 0 for 6 because they got to a point where I'm just like, I think like Joe probably is like, I should have seen it, but like I knew we were going to cover it for the podcast eventually. So we're going to do next Tuesday the Transporter on the main feed, and then as a Patreon bonus episode, we were going to do the Transporter 2. And then on the 3rd of March, we're going to cover the Transporter 3 on Mike's show, Third Time's Charm. So kind of 3 different locations, or just 2 if you subscribe to our Patreon. But the Transporter 1, 2, and 3 on the main feed, our Patreon feed, and Third Times. So I don't know if Mike's seen any of these either. I guess we'll find out soon enough. But 3 Transporter episodes coming at you with the Mikester, resident historian Mike Manzi. I'm excited. I think they're good.
People love them. They really do. They have a big following for sure.
They can't be that bad if there's 3 of them, right? Like the third one might be bad. I don't know. But like the first one has to be pretty good if there's 3 of them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So coming up next week, the Transporter, and then the Transporter 2 and the Transporter 3, all over the place. Food all over the place, Transporters all over the place. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page with bonus offers, apparently, at TooFastTooForever.com, and our store, TooFastTooForever.shop. Just Google No Knees Denise, Google image, and it'll take you there.
It will.
Come back on Sunday for our Patreon bonus episode of Friday Night Lights for the Super Bowl, and then next week for The Transport. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And I'm Brian Rodriguez.
And we'll tell you all about it
when we see you.